Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Immortal Cultivation, Two-World Traveler with Many Children and Many Blessings. Chapter 21. Yang Lan ran to Yimo's room. The whole person was in shock. It was obvious that he had been severely frightened before. After a long time, he found that no one was chasing him, and his expression softened. Yimo also had some guesses about her situation. It should be Chen Ming who finally agreed to this bald man and wanted to dedicate his wife to these people. Where is your husband? Yimo glanced at Yang Lan's room and didn't find Chen Ming, so he turned to look at Yang Lan. He said he went to buy a pack of cigarettes and never came back, and then these people broke in. Yang Lan said with lingering fear. Well, just stay here for a while until your husband comes back. Yimo glanced at Ma Zai lying on the ground. Yang Ming's attack was quite heavy and he used his internal strength. These people were afraid that they wouldn't be able to recover for a while, especially Brother Bald Dao, who was seriously injured and his head was split open. Yimo actually didn't want to care about this matter. After all, Chen Ming was responsible for this matter. People who gamble don't deserve sympathy, but Yang Lan is innocent. After closing the door, Yimo poured Yang Lan a glass of water and asked, "Why didn't you call the police?" "Thanks." Yang Lan took the water glass, thanked her softly, and then said, "I don't dare. They know where my hometown is and that I have a daughter. They threatened me with my daughter." "Well, what are you going to do?" Yimo asked. "I don't know. Originally we planned to sell the house in our hometown, but it won't be sold at all for a while. The house in Yang Lan's hometown is not worth much, and can only be sold for hundreds of thousands at most. Then have you ever thought about divorce? What your husband owes is gambling debt, which has nothing to do with you," Yimo said. To be honest, Yimo has some thoughts about this blue spirit route. He has been pretending to turn a blind eye these days, but in fact it is not the right time. Because people only make up their minds when they are desperate. Of course, if Chen Ming changed his mind, Yimo would not destroy other people's families. But now it seems that Chen Ming obviously doesn't. Yang Lan didn't know how to speak for a moment. She and Chen Ming met on a blind date and didn't know him at all. After getting married, she discovered that Chen Ming liked gambling very much. After several years of marriage, they had already lost all their bride price money. If it weren't for having a daughter, she would have wanted a divorce. And her parents have been persuading her to divorce for a long time. I think these people are not good people and will not give up. You'd better find a place to hide, Yimo suggested. Where can I hide? My daughter is still in my hometown. If I disappear, they will definitely treat my daughter. Yang Lan shook her head. What you're saying is that no matter how courageous they are, they won't dare to do anything to children unless they don't want to live anymore. This is not the past. These loan sharks are more aggressive in appearance, and at best they are intimidating. And Yimo guessed that the reason why they wanted to attack Yang Lan was because they wanted to take pictures, so that Chen Ming and Yang Lan would not be able to escape from their hands. But, where can I hide? Yang Lan now doesn't even have money for food. I have a place. As long as you don't go out for a while, they shouldn't be able to find you. Yimo plans to arrange for her to live with Zhou Ruolin, and when the time is right, Zhou Ruolin will teach her the method of cultivating immortality. As for the matter between her and Chen Ming, Yimo planned to let her resolve it herself after she succeeds in her cultivation. Why are you helping me? Yang Lan bravely looked at Yimo. She had only met Yimo a few times and hadn't even spoken to him. Moreover, she had misunderstood him as a thief. Yang Lan felt that Yimo could not help him for no reason. Just think of me as a good person who is willing to help others, Yimo said perfunctorily, and then said, "You'd better make a decision now. When the people outside recover, they may smash my door down." Because Yang Ming's internal energy had cold properties, the limbs of these horses were frozen, so they would not recover for a while. Good. Yang Lan finally agreed. Chen Ming hasn't come back yet, obviously on purpose, and Yang Lan has given up completely. Well, then I'll take you there now. After saying that, Yimo opened the door. At this time, several Mazai were still lying on the ground, but they were not unconscious. They watched Yimo and Yang Lan leave. What happened to them? Yang Lan ran into Yimo's house. She was so scared at the time that she didn't see how Yang Ming did it. Leave them alone. Yimo couldn't explain it either. Arriving on the first floor, Yimo glanced at Liu Baijin's room. Liu Baijin was still practicing at this time, and Yimo went directly to Da. Isn't this the landlord's car? Yang Lan asked suspiciously when she saw Yimo directly opening the rice car door. Yes, the landlord is my girlfriend. To be honest, when Yimo helped her, Yang Lan thought that Yimo had a crush on her. But if the landlord is Yimo's girlfriend, it's obviously impossible for him to take a liking to him. Get in the car. Yimo started the car and Yang Lan got into the passenger seat. About half an hour later, Yimo arrived at Oriental Wadu. Along the way, Yang Lan was very confused and couldn't understand why Yimo wanted to help him. But in the end she didn't ask. Taking the elevator to room 603, Yimo informed Zhou Ruolin before coming that he would bring a woman over later. When Zhou Ruolin saw Yang Lan, she entertained her warmly. Yimo brought her here, so this person must have spiritual roots, and maybe a sister in the future. Yimo explained Yang Lan's situation and then prepared to return to the apartment. You have to go back now, why don't you stay here tonight? Zhou Ruolin hadn't seen Yimo for several days, and she missed him. I still have some things to deal with. I will be away for a few months on the 11th. Once you have used up your spirit stones, you should stop practicing for the time being. When I come back, I will give you some more spirit stones. Yimo said. Zhou Ruolin has not yet developed a sense of energy, so she is not very clear about the effect of the spirit stone. Oh, Zhou Ruolin sent Yimo to the car and reluctantly watched Yimo leave. When I got home, I helped Yang Lan clean up a room. Because Yimo and Zhou Ruolin didn't shy away from each other, Yang Lan also saw their relationship. But isn't the landlord Yimo's girlfriend? Could it be said that Yimo took the landlord's money and went out to support his lover? This doesn't look like a good person. Yang Lan, you can live here with peace of mind from now on. If you need anything in life, just tell me and I will buy it for you. After tidying up the room, Zhou Ruolin looked at Yang Lan with a smile. Thank you, Sister Lin. To be honest, Yang Lan really wanted to ask Zhou Ruolin if she knew Yimo had a girlfriend outside. But Yimo helped her so much, but she was a little embarrassed to speak. Yimo told me everything about you. He has something to do now and will be away for a few months. When he comes back, he will help you solve it. Zhou Ruolin warned. There is no spiritual stone now, so it is useless to teach Yang Lan the immortal cultivation techniques. Yeah, I know. Yang Lan nodded, but still couldn't help but ask, Sister Lin, what does Yimo do? You just need to know that he is very strong. Very strong. What's the meaning? I don't understand it at all. Back at the apartment, Brother Dao and his group of horses had already left, probably going to the hospital. June 8th, Shen Ming came to the door and asked Yimo where he took his wife. Yimo kicked him out of the room. June 9th, Brother Dao and his men kicked open Yimo's door very domineeringly, with a very fierce expression. Yimo took off their suits, took a group photo, and then threw them on the street. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Yang Ming called and asked him to go to an abandoned factory in the eastern suburbs. Li Yuan was very respectful after meeting Yimo this time. Chen Ying took a video of his fight with Yang Ming yesterday and sent it to him. That night he was too scared to go out, for fear that Yimo would come looking for him. Brother Yi, yesterday I used all my connections to get 2 AK-47s and several light machine guns. I don't know if you are satisfied or not. Yes, how many bullets are there? 1,000 rounds each. Okay, let me test the power first, and you can help me fill the magazine with bullets. June 10th, Yimo went to the supermarket and bought a lot of items, such as bread, milk, water, instant noodles. On June 11th, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Yimo said goodbye to Liu Baijin and left the apartment. Originally, Yimo could also transmigrate in the room. But in order to look more like him, he still pretended to go overseas. Liu Baijin said he would send him off. He was strongly rejected by Yimo, saying that he had unique channels to go overseas and could not be known by others. After saying goodbye to Liu Baijin, Yimo took a taxi to the suburbs, found a forest, changed into mining clothes, and waited for the boundary stone to be activated. It is worth mentioning that as early as the 8th, Yimo wanted to get to know Ying next door to see if there was any possibility of cooperation. But he didn't expect Ying to be away. Until now, Yimo hasn't seen her come back. In the past 3 days, with Yimo's efforts, a total of 10 green spiritual roots and 3 blue spiritual roots were obtained. There were quite a few white spiritual roots, but Yimo was not counted. After much thought, he decided to start with green spirit root. According to the time flow rate of Water Moon Realm and Blue Star, 1 round can be completed in 1 month, and only 30 people are needed. Of course, Yimo couldn't let them have babies in succession. If they wanted to have 1 baby every other year, it would be enough to find 60 people with spiritual roots. Of course, Yimo would definitely not be able to find so many in the early stage. Regardless of whether it was easy to find or not, Yimo didn't have that many spiritual stones for them to cultivate. Even now, with Yang Lan's words, there are only 4 people, and Yimo feels like Alexander. Even though there are only 4 people, due to the speed of time, Yimo needs 10 days in Water Moon Realm to earn the spiritual stones they cultivated in Blue Star for 3 months. According to Yimo's mining speed, it's about 2 to 3 yuan an hour. Even if he mines for 20 hours a day, it's only 40 or 50 yuan. In 10 days, a maximum of 180 spiritual stones can be obtained, but this amount of spiritual stones is obviously not enough. We can only take 1 step at a time. It's okay to be slow in the early stage. Wait until Zhou Ruolin gives birth to a few children for herself and she becomes stronger, and then think of a solution. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the sun sets. The boundary-piercing stone lying in the sea of consciousness suddenly flashed with dazzling white light, and then, 1 meter away from Yimo, electric light flashed. A crack slowly opened. Yimo's body was pulled directly into the crack. Water Moon Realm, Fanlong Mine. Yimo stepped out of the crack, and then he immediately looked around vigilantly. When he found that there was no one, he relaxed. Back at the mine, Yimo didn't dig immediately because he had to confirm one thing, which day it was. Yimo was currently mining in a relatively remote location with few people around. After walking for about 5 minutes, he finally saw a group of miners mining. In the mine, the probability of finding spiritual stones is different in different places. Like where Yimo was just now, the ore yield rate is extremely low. But places with high mining rates are usually occupied by people. They formed a group to ensure that they could dig out enough spirit stones every day and to prevent being blackmailed. As for the original owner, because of his low cultivation level and the fact that he had only been in the mine for a short time, no one was willing to take him. "Brother, what day is it today?" Yimo carried the spiritual hoe and shouted to the nearest miner. He did not dare to go too close, otherwise these people would most likely drive them away. "No, 4. The miner looked up at Yimo and found that Yimo was in the early stages of chi training, so he lowered his guard. "What months are they?" Yimo continued to ask. "September." After confirming the time, Yimo returned to the place where he was mining before. This place is remote enough that few people come here. If anyone does come, they are looking for lone miners to blackmail. Yimo used to see people like this every few days. However, because Yimo's spirit stones were all placed in the system space, they could not find them and had no choice but to leave. However, before leaving, they left a few footprints on Yimo's body. Yimo carried it hard. There is no way, if he gives the spirit stones to these people, if he doesn't pay 1,000 spirit stones, the sect will also peel off a layer of his skin. Because he had a goal, Yimo was in a good mood. He was not as full of resentment as before, but was digging very hard. Hey. While digging, I also dug. Yimo was very lucky. He kept digging until 6 o'clock the next morning and found 35 spiritual stones. Then he left the mine, handed over the spirit stone, and prepared to go back and take a nap. Spiritual stones do not have to be turned in every day, you only need to turn in 1,000 spiritual stones every month. But generally, miners will hand it over after digging today, because it is not safe for the spirit stones to be left on their bodies. Outside the mine, many lofts and shops were built, as well as a group of cabins. The cabin is where the miners sleep, and the attic is where the disciples of the mysterious heaven sect live. The shops are various restaurants, as well as shops selling elixirs, talismans and spiritual weapons. And gold exchange shops. A piece of spiritual stone can be exchanged for 5 pounds of gold, which seems like a lot, but the price is also high. A piece of gold is about 200 grams, which is enough to eat a bowl of noodles without adding meat. The place where the spirit stones were handed over was set up at the entrance of the mine. Because it was only after 6 o'clock in the morning, no one came to hand over the spirit stones, and there was only one disciple who counted the spirit stones. Yimo came to this disciple and took out the storage bag that he had prepared. Every miner has one of these storage bags. It's very small. The space inside is only 1 cubic meter, and it can't even fit a spiritual hoe. As soon as Yimo thought, 35 more spiritual stones appeared on the wooden table. Name. The statistics disciple looked at Yimo and asked. Then he opened the account book. This account book is a kind of spiritual weapon. As long as he scans it with his spiritual consciousness, he can find Yimo's name. Yimo. Yimo replied. Then the statistics disciple flipped through a few pages and soon found Yimo's name. After the name, there was also the room number 220 of the wooden house where Yimo lived. This way people with the same name can be distinguished. After watching the statistical disciple write down the date and 35 spirit stones, Yimo left the cave entrance and headed to his cabin. It only took about 10 minutes. Yimo had just returned to his cabin, but before he opened the door, in the cabin next door, a young man walked out of the cabin carrying a hoe. When he saw Yimo, he immediately stopped. Yimo, why haven't I seen you all day? This man's name is Yi Shi. He came to the mine in the same group as the original owner and was in the early stages of Qi training. It took me a day to dig. Yimo said casually. Oh. Yi Shi didn't suspect anything at all, and finally kindly reminded him, Yimo, Scaro is sending people everywhere to look for Zhang Wentao. You must be careful when mining alone. I think you should agree to Scaro with him. Only with the blessing can you mine with peace of mind. Scaro is a small boss of the 5th mine. There are hundreds of people on hand. When the original owner first came to the mine, Scaro sent someone to talk to him. As long as he handed over 5 spiritual stones every day, he would be able to mine in the mine with peace of mind. At that time, the original owner did not agree, and Scaro's men did not force him, because after being blackmailed several times, they would usually beg him obediently. But before the original owner could find Scaro, he was beaten to death, and then Yimo transmigrated. Yimo couldn't stand such oppression, so he fought hard against those who were blackmailing him. Although he was beaten badly, he managed to keep the spirit stone. Yi Shi often saw Yimo being beaten with a bruised nose and swollen face, so he kindly reminded him. What's wrong with Zhang Wentao? Yimo asked curiously. Yimo also knew Zhang Wentao, and he was one of Scaro's capable generals. I heard that Zhang Wentao betrayed Scaro. I don't know the specific circumstances. Yimo nodded without thinking much. I went into the house and made a pack of instant noodles and had a good sleep. When he woke up, it was almost 12 noon. Carrying the spiritual hoe, he hurried to dig. Yimo still came to the place where he mined before. I dug continuously for 6 hours, then stopped to eat a few pieces of bread, drank 2 bottles of yogurt, and then continued mining. I kept digging until 3 o'clock in the morning and only found 35 spiritual stones. I was not very lucky. Just when Yimo was ready to work until 6 in the morning. 100 meters away from him, 3 miners were walking towards him. Are you sure he dug for 7 hours without leaving the mine? Walking at the front was a tall man who looked to be in his 30s. The 2 people behind him are much younger. However, their cultivation has reached the middle stage of Qi training. I come here every hour or 2, so I can be sure that he has never left. Blackmail also takes time. If someone has just arrived and hasn't mined a few spiritual stones, blackmail is meaningless. Okay, after 7 consecutive hours, I should have dug out about 40 spiritual stones. Haha, I will grab the spiritual stones later, and we will have a feast today. The leading man laughed twice. Not long after, they arrived at the small mining area where Yimo was mining. And Yimo also discovered them early in the morning. From the way they walk, it can be seen that they must be here for blackmail. Would you like to take a gamble? Yimo still wielded the spiritual hoe, but in his heart he was calculating the chances of success in killing them. With the speed of bullets, these people would definitely not be able to escape if they were caught by surprise. But the problem is, if they miss the vital point, by the time they react, there will be no chance of their own survival. Brother, are you pretending not to see us? Haha, you have to hand over all the spirit stones within 3 breaths to save us from taking action. The leading man sneered twice. He saw that Yimo was only in the early stages of chi training, so he was definitely fat. I just came here, and I haven't found the spirit stone yet. Yimo could also see that their cultivation levels were higher than his own, and he began to hesitate whether to take action. I have been observing you for a long time. I have been digging from noon to now. I have not even left the mine. My patience is limited. I will give you another chance to hand over the spirit stone. Don't force me to do it. The man threatened, and then he suddenly patted the storage bag on his waist, and a long sword appeared in his hand. Yimo opened his eyes slightly. The long sword exuded a faint aura, and it was obviously a spiritual weapon. If the spiritual weapon is outside, it is actually not expensive. A long sword like this is only worth 100 spiritual stones at most, but in the mine, the price will be at least 10 times higher. I dug up 30 spiritual stones. After thinking for a while, Yimo finally put his hand into his sleeve, then with a thought, he took out 30 spiritual stones from the system space and placed them on the ground. The leading man immediately signaled to his companions behind him to pick up the spirit stone. Then he said coldly, "Throw your storage bag over." Yimo's storage bag was placed in his sleeve. Without thinking much, Yimo finally threw the storage bag over. There was nothing inside except a few clothes. It's taken so long to dig so many spiritual stones. Seeing that there was indeed no spirit stone in Yimo's storage bag, the leading man looked very unhappy, but he did not embarrass Yimo anymore. He left the storage bag on the ground, waved his hand, and left with his little brother. The moment they turned around, Yimo's face suddenly darkened, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Blackmail will definitely happen more often in the future. If you don't hand over the spirit stone, you will definitely get a beating. Yimo's endurance was over in the past. But now, if you don't succeed, you will succeed. With a thought, he suddenly had 2 more AK-47s in his hand. Kill, Yimo roared in his heart, and a moment later, a clicking sound resounded throughout the passage. Yimo changed several magazines and fired for half a minute. With Yimo's physical fitness, he completely ignored the recoil. The bullet shoots very steadily. Before the 3 people could react, their bodies were shot into a sieve. Because Yimo was only in the early stage of chi training, they never thought that Yimo would dare to attack them. So there was no defense against Yimo. Half a minute later, their internal organs had become bloody. However, Yimo did not dare to relax. The vitality of immortal cultivators is very tenacious. Even if the body is broken into 2 parts, they can still be alive and kicking. Yimo took 2 steps forward, fired at their heads, until they were completely changed beyond recognition, then stopped, and then immediately put their bodies into the system space. Then he hurriedly left the battlefield. The sound of the gunfire was still very loud, and it would definitely attract many people to come and check it out. Yimo quickly ran towards the mine tunnel. Then he walked for nearly 15 minutes and hid in an uninhabited mining area. After making sure there is no one around, Yimo immediately took out the 3 people's storage bags. Pour out all the contents. The harvest is not bad. Yimo's face was filled with joy. The total number of spiritual stones for the 3 of them was 105, and there was also a spiritual weapon sword. And some low-level talismans. In addition to these, there are dozens of kilograms of gold. Sure enough, killing people and selling goods is the fastest way to make money. Yimo felt a little excited in his heart. If you deliberately attract someone who is blackmailing you, will you achieve the effect of getting rich? People who blackmail are not weak in strength, and they have something in them. However, if you often walk by the river, your shoes will definitely get wet. The 3 people today were completely defenseless. If you meet some cautious people, it will definitely not be as smooth as today. Once someone uses a defensive spell or defensive talisman in advance, the bullet may not be able to penetrate it. Even if it penetrates, it will be difficult to hurt the opponent. It's better not to be too arrogant. Be more cautious. Wait until Zhou Ruolin gives birth to the child. By then, her ability to protect herself will be greatly enhanced. Yimo thought to himself. Next, Yi Mo spent half an hour finding an uninhabited mining location. After trying the probability of finding spirit stones, he found that it was similar to the previous place. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he left the mine, handed over 40 more spirit stones, and then returned to his cabin. After eating a few pieces of bread, I had a good sleep again. September 6, 12 noon. Yi Mo picked up the spiritual hoe and returned to the mine again. 3 people died yesterday, but it didn't seem to cause any disturbance. It's just that some people are curious about the gunshot and don't know what caused it. Came to the place where we found the mine yesterday. What surprised Yi Mo was that he didn't expect there to be someone here. There were 5 people in total, and Yi Mo also saw Zhang Wentao inside. In fact, these people noticed Yi Mo's arrival early in the morning, but Yi Mo was only one person, and he was only in the early stages of Qi training, so they didn't care. However, their intention was very clear and they did not allow Yi Mo to mine here. This place is not big. If Yi Mo joins, it will definitely affect their mining efficiency. Yi Mo said nothing and turned to leave. However, in the early hours of this morning, Yi Mo walked around the area for most of the time, but couldn't find a suitable place for mining. After thinking about it, he decided to go to the previous place. As soon as he walked onto the mine tunnel, he noticed a group of people hurriedly walking in his direction. Yi Mo recognized the leader at a glance as Scaro, and behind him was his number 1 subordinate Hong Yang. Perhaps it was because Yi Mo had shaved his hair short that Scaro didn't recognize Yi Mo for a while. It wasn't until Yi Mo walked away that he remembered. That person just now is new, right? What's his name? Scaro looked at Hong Yang beside him. Yi Mo, I came in July. Hong Yang replied. That's right, his name is Yi Mo. Has he promised to hand over the spirit stone to us? Scaro asked. Not yet, then why is he still alive? After you deal with the traitor Zhang Wentao, you can go find him again. If he is still unwilling to hand over the spirit stone, just kill him directly. I don't want him to be in the 5th mine. There are still people who are not protected by my Scaro. Scaro said coldly. Okay, I will find it myself later. Hong Yang nodded, but it was just Yi Mo, so he didn't care much. Soon they found Zhang Wentao. At this time, dozens of Scaro's men had surrounded Zhang Wentao's 5 men. Zhang Wentao, I will see where you are going this time and hand over the elixir immediately. I can keep your body intact. Knife head, I don't know what elixir you are talking about. Zhang Wentao's face was extremely ugly. You are still pretending to me. Well, since you don't know whether to live or die, I will help you. Scaro shouted angrily, and a big knife suddenly appeared in his hand. Then he jumped up and struck down with the knife. A sword light several meters long was seen, striking towards Zhang Wentao. Zhang Wentao didn't have much fear. He moved his legs and suddenly his whole body turned into an afterimage. Then he ran quickly outside. You can't escape. Scaro immediately gave chase. But soon, he discovered that he couldn't catch up. Luo Yubu, I didn't expect you to have cultivated to the realm of great accomplishment. No wonder you dare to betray me. Looking at Zhang Wentao leaving, Scaro's face was extremely gloomy. He did not chase after Luo Yubu, who was in the great accomplishment realm. He could not possibly catch up. Yi Mo naturally didn't expect that Scaro, who had almost forgotten him, would remember him again just because he took one more look in the crowd. Regarding Scaro's deeds, the original owner often heard people talk about it when he came to the mine. Scaro, whose original name was Dao Wan, was later changed to Scaro just because he felt that this name was not domineering enough. And in order to be more vivid, he also deliberately stabbed himself on the face, leaving a 10-centimeter long scar. It looks extremely scary. In the early years, Scaro was just the younger brother of a small boss, but at that time, he showed his ferocious nature. For some disobedient miners, they can be beaten to death without leaving you a single breath. Later, he broke through to the late stage of Qi training, but deliberately hid his cultivation. Then on a dark and windy night, he sneaked into his boss's room and cut off his boss's head. Finally, he took the position of the little boss. Although Scaro has a ruthless nature, there are still many people who are willing to follow him because of this. Gradually, his power in the 5th mine is growing stronger and stronger. Now in the 5th mine, except for the big bosses who want to build the foundation, no one is his opponent. Yimo came to the original mining site and without thinking too much, he waved his spiritual hoe and started today's mission. It was not until 8 o'clock in the evening that he found two figures walking towards him. He immediately put down his spiritual hoe and looked at it. Soon he saw the appearance of the two of them clearly, and unexpectedly he knew them. They were Scarlu's men. They seemed to be named Zhang Song and Zhang Dao. They should be two brothers. You really know how to find a place. We have been looking for you all afternoon. We didn't expect you to be hiding in this corner. Come on, come with us. Our boss wants to see you. The two brothers were in the middle stage of chi training, so they naturally didn't take Yimo seriously. The boss they call is not Scarlu, but Hong Yang. As soon as they come to the mine, they follow Hong Yang. Later, Hong Yang took refuge with Scarlu, and the two of them naturally followed. Brother Hong, what do you want from me? Having already tried the power of AK-47, Yimo became more courageous. If he hadn't been born in a society governed by the rule of law and received a good education, he would have carried out the robbery with the AK for the Spirit Stone. How come there is so much nonsense? Just leave if you are told. Zhang Song said impatiently. They did look for Yimo for a long time. At first they thought Yimo was in some small team, but after searching for a long time, they all said that no one had seen Yimo, and they didn't even know who Yimo was. Because they couldn't find it for a long time, they were scolded by Hong Yang, and Hong Yang even brought people to look for it himself. He didn't dare to neglect what Scarlu told him. So Zhang Song and Zhang Dao came with a sense of anger. Now that they saw Yimo still asking questions, they immediately wanted to beat Yimo first before talking. Yimo could also guess why Hong Yang was looking for him. He just wanted him to hand over spiritual stones to them every day. Without thinking any more, Yimo said directly, "Please ask the two elder brothers to lead the way." After saying that, Yimo put the spiritual hoe on his shoulder. Snort. Zhang Song snorted coldly. They didn't take Yimo seriously from beginning to end. He was not worried at all that Yimo would escape or make any small moves. The moment they turned around, Yimo immediately put the spirit hoe into the space. Immediately afterwards, the AK-47 reappeared. Yimo pulled the trigger without hesitation. Ta ta ta. The muzzle of the gun flashed with dazzling fire. Half a minute later, Zhang and Song fell to the ground, eyes wide open, looking at the iron lump in Yimo's hand. What's this? Why is there no aura? However, no one answered him. To be on the safe side, Yimo directly emptied the magazine until there was no breath left on them. Yimo put their bodies into the space and immediately fled the scene. However, just after running a few steps, two more figures ran over from the mine tunnel. What was the sound just now? These two people were also sent by Hong Yang to look for Yimo. They were a little surprised to see Yimo, but the smell of blood in the air made them wary. Of course, not much. This vigilance is not directed at Yimo. It seems like this voice. Two MJ-46 light machine guns, one on the left and one on the right, fired at the two people. What's this? The two of them were still a little curious as to why two iron bumps suddenly appeared in Yimo's hand. There is no spiritual energy fluctuation on it, so it is obviously just a mortal thing. However, the next second, the muzzle of the gun continued to flash. Ta ta ta. Because it's too close. The two of them had no time to react, and the bullet penetrated their bodies almost instantly. It's just a pity that it didn't hit the mark. The two of them were already alert. Although their bodies were penetrated and the injuries were serious, their movements were not hindered much. They immediately jumped and fled outside. Then they took out a magic talisman from the storage bag and quickly slapped it on their bodies. A golden light instantly protected their whole bodies. How could Yimo let them escape and put all the spiritual energy in his body into his feet? Hold the machine gun and chase quickly. As Yimo chased, the machine gun in his hand did not stop. Although there were not many hits, the golden light on their bodies dimmed a little with each hit. After chasing for probably hundreds of meters, the golden light on their bodies finally dissipated. Puff! This time they were not so lucky, the bullet passed directly through the back of their heads. The two of them fell to the ground with a bang. Yimo immediately put away their bodies, turned around and fled. This time Yimo fled directly from the east side of the mine to the west side, which was out of Scarlu's jurisdiction. Yimo once again found a deserted place and cleaned out the storage bag. There were a lot of things. In order to prevent anyone from coming, Yimo simply checked the spirit stones. 300 yuan in total. Each person contributed 70 or 80 spiritual stones. Now I'm afraid I can't even go back to the wooden house. Hong Yang probably didn't know that his men were killed, but if he wanted to find him, he must have arranged for his people at the entrance of the mine and in his own wooden house. Little brother. Just when Yimo was thinking about the next countermeasures, a man's voice suddenly came to his ears. Who? Yimo was startled. He immediately took out his machine gun and without any hesitation, fired indiscriminately in the direction of the sound. Until all the bullets were fired, only 5 meters away, a man covered in blood lay motionless on the ground. Zhang Wentao never dreamed that he would not die at the hands of Scarlu, but would be killed by a miner who was in the early stages of Qi training without knowing anything about it. He didn't even know how he died, so he was very curious. At that time, when he saw that Yimo had such a spiritual stone on his body, he actually wanted to snatch it. Originally, he could kill Yimo silently. But seeing that Yimo was not in the early stage, he came up with the idea of cat and mouse. Yimo took a closer look and naturally recognized Zhang Wentao. But he didn't care. He disposed of the body and looked at his storage bag. Oh my god, there are so many. Yimo was overjoyed. There were thousands of spirit stones alone. There are also many books on exercises and spiritual talismans and weapons. There are also several elixirs in white porcelain bottles. Yimo took a quick look and found a lot of spirit-gathering pills. And a healing elixir. This elixir is called the Holy Spirit Elixir. As long as you are still breathing, no matter how injured you are, after taking this elixir, you can recover from the dead. In addition, there was a yellow pill, but Yimo didn't recognize it. He put all the things into the space and filled the bullets again. Then I found a mining place nearby. The next few days, Yimo spent most of his time in the mine, mining and sleeping every day. But every time I go to bed, I don't dare to sleep too hard. Basically, I wake up after less than an hour of sleep and continue mining. Although he could dig up almost 40 spiritual stones every day, his energy was getting worse and worse. It gives people the feeling of sluggishness. These days, he has been cleaning up his harvest and found a lot of magic secrets, especially Luo Yubu, which is definitely the best spell for escape. But he didn't have time to practice. There are also spiritual talismans, 5 fire bullet talisman, 5 golden light talisman, 3 insulation notes, 2 invisibility talismans, and 2 low-level auxiliary ones, such as dust clearing talisman, etc. What Yimo is most interested in is the sound insulation. Using the sound insulation, you can completely isolate the sound of the machine gun. What's left is the elixirs. In addition to the elixirs on Zhang Wentao, Yimo also obtained some elixirs from other disciples. For example, Bigu pill and Zuyan pill. These 2 elixirs are not expensive and are relatively simple to refine. Generally, monks who learn alchemy will start with these 2 kinds of elixirs. In the past few days, he met several waves of Dao Scarlu's people, and he dealt with them one by one. Contributed nearly 500 spirit stones to Yimo. Yimo now has more than 2,000 spirit stones. In fact, Scarlu's people were not looking for Yimo, but Zhang Wentao. The 4 Zhang songs were missing, and Hong Yang suspected that when they were looking for Yimo, they met Zhang Wentao and was killed. Yimo didn't even leave the mine. Hong Yang also suspected that Yimo might be dead, and then he simply forgot about Yimo. I just didn't expect that his men were missing one after another these days, which also caused his men to start acting in secret. After all, no one wanted to die. September 10th. In the east area, in an 800-meter-long mine tunnel, hundreds of people were wielding spiritual hoes. This place is Scarlu's base camp. At this time, Scarlu, Hong Yang, and 5 core subordinates were sitting in the deepest part of the mine. There was an invisible light wave surrounding them, covering them. This is a soundproof array. Knife head, what should we do next? Because more and more of his men were missing, Scarlu had to stop sending people to look for Zhang Wentao. Brother Hong, actually I don't understand something. We have repeatedly warned the people sent out to report back immediately once they find Zhang Wentao, but why were they still killed silently? One of Scarlu's men looked puzzled. After the middle stage of Qi training, spiritual consciousness can extend up to 100 meters. Once they use their spiritual consciousness to scan Zhang Wentao, they can completely escape. There is indeed something fishy about this matter, but it is not the key. Now Zhang Wentao is quietly stepping into the great accomplishment. If you want to catch him, you must set up a dragnet. Hong Yang also couldn't figure out how his men were killed. After all, no one would be stupid enough to find Zhang Wentao and come to his door personally. Then how can we lay a dragnet? It's very simple. Zhang Wentao will definitely hand over the spirit stone at the end of the month. Then we will have our own people nearby. But what if Zhang Wentao asks someone else to hand it over for him? That would be great. The knife head can contact Deacon Lu to see if Zhang Wentao has handed over the spirit stones recently. If someone really turns in the spirit stones for him, we can follow the clues. A statistics will be conducted at the end of the month. Once it is discovered that someone has not handed over 1,000 spirit stones, the sect will send someone to find the person. Once someone is found who deliberately fails to hand over the spirit stone, the consequences will be serious. Yes, at the end of the month, Zhang Wentao will have nowhere to hide. Finally Scarlu nodded. Yimo has actually been thinking about handing over the spirit stones at the end of the month. By the end of the month, Zhou Ruolin was only 9 months pregnant, so Yimo naturally didn't dare to walk out and hand over the spirit stone. He immediately wanted to find someone to help him hand over the spirit stone. In the entire mine, Yimo was the most familiar with Yi Shi. But Yimo was also worried whether he would take his spiritual stone for himself, or directly betray himself and report to Hong Yang. So Yimo never found it. Of course, the most important thing is that he is running out of bullets and obviously has a phobia of insufficient firepower. He planned to get enough firepower after returning this time. Time soon came to the evening of September 14th in Shuiyuji. These days, although Scarlu's people didn't come, 2 groups of people still discovered him and started blackmailing him. However, they don't have many spiritual stones on them, so they are dispensable. In the evening, Yimo hid in the dark, quietly waiting for the boundary stone to be filled with energy. In the Water Moon realm, the boundary stone will not force Yimo to transmigrate. He can choose the time to transmigrate at will. Soon the energy was full, Yimo thought, and saw lightning flashing in front of him. Yimo stepped into the lightning without hesitation. Yangchang, in the mountains and forests on the eastern outskirts. Yimo quickly changed his clothes, then made a few leaps and left the forest. When they came to the main road, Yimo took a taxi and arrived at Tianhe apartment. Before coming, Yimo sent a message to Lu Baijin. After getting out of the car, when Lu Baijin saw Yimo, she threw herself into Yimo's arms. But she soon realized something was wrong, because Yimo's mental state was really bad. What's wrong with you? Lu Baijin touched Yimo's face, feeling very distressed. It's a long story. These days, in order to find more spiritual stones, I barely sleep a wink. Yimo said as he pulled Lu Baijin to 102. You're trying too hard, there's no need to be in such a hurry. Yimo is an immortal cultivator, and his body is much stronger than ordinary people. Lu Baijin can't imagine what Yimo has gone through. Let's not talk about this for now, I brought you a good thing. Yimo looked indifferent, and then took out a palm-sized storage bag from the system space and said, this is a small storage bag. Although the space inside is not large, it can still hold a lot of small things. There are 500 spiritual stones should allow you to reach the advanced stage of Qi training. Before coming, Yimo prepared a storage bag for everyone, and also allocated spiritual stones, 500 for Lu Baijin and 300 for others. The better the spiritual root, the higher the conversion rate of absorbing spiritual stones. 500 spiritual stones are enough for Lu Baiyun to practice to the later stage. Well, you practice first, and I'll take a nap. After Yimo finished speaking, he lay directly on Lu Baijin's bed and soon fell asleep. But Lu Baijin did not practice. She felt heartbroken when she saw Yimo looking so tired. Until the sound of deep sleep came from Yimo's nose, Lu Baijin gently got on the bed and buried his head in Yimo's chest. In a daze, Yimo bent his arms and hugged Lu Baijin tightly into his arms. Blue Star, September 22nd. After breakfast, Yimo made an excuse to go out. Soon he came to Shigong Community, downstairs of Building 39. Mr. Yi, where have you been these days? Why does it keep saying that your phone is shut down when I call you? Yu Mengyao sat in the car and asked impatiently. Yimo's mobile phone has been kept in the system space. In order to prevent the power consumption from flowing out, he turned it off. I went to a place where there was no signal at all, so I turned off my phone. Yimo explained casually, and then asked, how is your practice lately? After the spiritual stones are consumed, I feel nothing at all. Yu Mengyao shook her head. When she started practicing with the spirit stone, she could feel energy entering her body. But after the spirit stone was consumed, no matter how she practiced, the energy never appeared again. Well, this is because there is no spiritual energy around. Yimo said. But I went to those dense mountains and didn't feel anything. Yu Mengyao frowned slightly. You have read too many novels. The lush mountains and forests only mean there is sufficient oxygen and have nothing to do with spiritual energy. The formation of spiritual energy is produced by underground spiritual veins. As an online author, Yimo naturally saw many novels about urban immortality. Those pig's feet who are slow to practice in the city will go to the mountains to practice. This is completely wishful thinking. Blue Star's spiritual veins have long since dried up, and there is no spiritual energy anywhere in Blue Star. Is that so? Yu Mengyao was thoughtful. There is no doubt that if you want to practice, you can only use spirit stones, and I am the only one who has spirit stones. After Yimo finished speaking, he took out a storage bag and handed it to Yu Mengyao. Yu Mengyao opened the bag curiously and dug inside, but it was so dark that she couldn't see anything. When you get home later, you can pour it out directly. There are 300 spiritual stones in it, which is enough for you to break through the early stages of Qi training. Of course, after you break through Qi training, if you still want to practice with Ling Qi, do you know what to do? Yimo reminded. If I really break through the Qi training you mentioned, Mr. Yi, Marriott Hotel, I'll wait for you in vain. To be honest, if Yimo is really an immortal cultivator. Even if she didn't practice, Yu Mengyao would hug Yimo's thigh tightly. Now she just has doubts. You are quite white, especially your thighs, which are long and white. Needless to say, Yu Mengyao's appearance is not bad, and her figure is not worse than Zhou Ruolin's. Especially these long legs, as delicate and smooth as honey. I don't know if Yu Mengyao did it on purpose. She was wearing a miniskirt today, which made Yimo's eyes glance over her from time to time. Others have said so. How about you? Why don't you touch it first? Yu Mengyao showed a provocative look. Another day. Oriental Wadu is not far from Shigong Community, only 1 mile. After bidding farewell to Yu Mengyao, Yimo quickly came to Zhou Ruolin's side. What Yimo didn't expect was that besides Zhou Ruolin and Yang Lan, there was another woman at home. Yimo subconsciously started the character search, but unfortunately, the other party did not have spiritual roots. This woman is Zhou Ruolin's best friend, Peng Choyan. She is here naturally to take care of Zhou Ruolin. It has been more than 3 months, and Zhou Ruolin's belly has become slightly bulging. Usually when Zhou Ruolin goes to prenatal checkups, Peng Choyan is always with her. Mr. Yi, I have always heard from Linlin that you are very handsome. When I saw you today, it turned out that I was a little moved. Yimo is good at everything, except for his weird hairstyle, which of course does not affect his handsome face at all. Peng Choyan is indeed very excited. Of course, being handsome is one thing, but more importantly, ability. A few days ago, Zhou Ruolin finally relented and was willing to have a husband with her, but the prerequisite was that Yimo liked her. Peng Choyan is very confident. She feels that she is no worse than her best friend, although her figure is relatively worse. But live a good life. As long as Mr. Yi experiences it once, he will never forget it. At this time, she was leaning on Wang Yemo intentionally or unintentionally, and the mountain peak on the left touched Yimo's right arm from time to time. Zhou Ruolin didn't say anything. Yimo told her that not many people had spiritual roots. If his best friend didn't have spiritual roots, Yimo might not necessarily fall in love with her. Zhou Ruolin chose to ignore it, but Yang Lan, who was sitting on the sofa next to her, turned her face away and said softly, "A couple of fools, they don't know how to be ashamed." Yang Lan is relatively conservative, and she despises Peng Chuyan's behavior from the bottom of her heart. The most hateful thing is that Zhou Ruolin turned a blind eye. This scene simply subverted her outlook on life. Miss Peng, thank you for taking care of Linlin these days. Yimo really couldn't stand being rubbed by Peng Chuyan. I had to put my hands in my pockets, get up and leave. Mr. Yi said this, Linlin is my best friend, we have known each other since we were children, and we should take care of her. Peng Chuyan knew that Yimo had reacted and was secretly happy. Although Yimo stood up and left to avoid suspicion, it must have been because of the presence of outsiders. When Ruolin explains the situation to Yimo next week, there will naturally be no need to avoid it. It's great that Linlin has a best friend like you. I have to go out in a few days, and I'll have to trouble you then. Yimo came to the chair opposite. As he spoke, he was asking about the system in his mind. If you don't use the one-hit skill, what are the chances of having a child with spiritual roots from a person without spiritual roots? Host, your spiritual root is too weak. If you want to give birth to a white spiritual root, the chance may not exceed 1/10. The system replied. This answer was also within Yimo's expectation. He also gave up completely. Yimo stayed until lunch was over before leaving. During this period, Yimo called Zhou Ruolin to the room alone and asked about the female anchor. Before Yimo left, he acquired a total of 5 blue spiritual roots and 20 green spiritual roots. In the end, Yimo transferred all the money to her. Let her establish a good relationship with these anchors first. Basically, we all know each other, and we have quite good conversations with a few of them. There is one person in particular who practices Sanda. She is pretty good and plays gymnasiums everywhere. I talked to her and she said that I have also practiced. I hope to have the opportunity to talk to her. Let's discuss it. Zhou Ruolin replied. Oh, what's her name? Yimo asked casually. Professional anti-counterfeiting for 20 years, real name, Yang Sichi. Yes, Yimo nodded. Yimo had an impression of this name, and he also added prestige to it. It seemed like it was still a blue spirit root. However, Yimo didn't plan to take action himself. Now that there are enough spiritual stones, Zhou Ruolin should be able to break through in Qi training within a few months. I have 100 pounds of gold here. You can sell it later. Then you can be generous to those anchors. After saying that, Yimo took out 100 pounds of gold from the system space and placed it on the table. This gold was naturally obtained from Scarlu's men, totaling 230 kilograms. So much. Looking at the gold on the table, Zhou Ruolin was almost blinded. There will only be more and more in the future, but money is of no use to us. Yimo said lightly. Zhou Ruolin nodded. What she cared about most now was naturally the spirit stone, and now she also knew that only the spirit stone could be used for cultivation. Husband, Yang Lan's family has been calling her recently, especially her husband, threatening him with their children. I'm afraid she can't bear the pressure. Should I tell her the truth now and teach her the method of cultivating immortality? If Zhou Ruolin hadn't been persuading Yang Lan to wait for Yimo to come back, Yang Lan would definitely have gone to meet Chen aiming. Okay, you can test her tone first, and if she is willing, teach her the skills. I brought a lot of spiritual stones this time, and you can practice with her. Yimo directly took out 600 spirit stones. It was enough for the two of them to break through the early stages of Qi training. Good, because Zhou Ruolin was pregnant, she did not force Yimo to stay. Finally, Zhou Ruolin talked about Peng Chuyan again, and Yimo told her clearly that Peng Chuyan had no spiritual roots. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yimo returned to Tianhe apartment and then went to Lu Baijin's room. There was one thing he wanted to ask Lu Baijin, that is, where did Cheng Ying next door go? In the morning, Yimo secretly went back to his room, and then used his spiritual consciousness to check Cheng Ying's room and found that her room was already empty. Hearing Yimo ask about Cheng Ying, Lu Baijin didn't think much and replied, she moved away 3 months ago, and she didn't even ask for rent or deposit. Why did they move away so well? Do you know the reason? Yimo then asked. I was also curious. I asked my mother specifically because my mother introduced Cheng Ying. My mother said that Cheng Ying moved away because she suddenly changed jobs. Lu Baijin is not a jealous woman. She could sense that Yimo wasn't asking about Cheng Ying for no reason. But she didn't get to the bottom of it. She knew that a capable man could not be tied down. Take his father Lu Shichao as an example. She knew that Lu Shichao also had a woman outside. Her mother, Wang Yan, had told her early in the morning. She was puzzled at the time. But Wang Yan told her that as long as Lu Shichao could still find his way home, those women outside would never be able to get on the stage. Yimo naturally didn't know what Lu Baijin was thinking. Knowing that Cheng Ying was introduced by Lu Baijin's mother, it would be easy to handle. As long as she told Li Yuan, she should be able to find out where Cheng Ying had gone. After returning to his room, Yimo immediately called Li Yuan. Brother Yi, I have to confess to you about this. In fact, I sent Cheng Ying there, mainly to investigate your true identity. Li Yuan said without confidence. He was really afraid of Yimo. Because Yang Ming praised Yimo to the sky. It is said that Yimo is most likely a member of the three major overseas forces, either from the Dragon King Palace or the War Palace, and his status is extremely high. In the future, he will be either the Dragon King or the God of War. The main reason why Yang Ming said this was that he had lost so miserably that he could gain some face by raising Yimo infinitely. What the hell, you said Cheng Ying is yours and was specially arranged to spy on me. Then tell me, what do you know? Yimo's voice turned cold. Of course, he was happy in his heart. Since he belongs to Mr. Li, it will be easy to handle. Brother Yi, please calm down. It's because I'm young and ignorant. Ah, no, I'm the frog in the well. Brother Yi, I can swear that Cheng Ying doesn't know anything except that you are a martial artist. Cheng Ying really didn't hear anything useful. At least they don't even know which faction Yimo belongs to. Master Li, I have to say that you are really ignorant and fearless. If I had known that Cheng Ying was sent by you, your Li family would have no way of surviving. But since your attitude is quite correct, I can't investigate her, but Cheng Ying, you must find her for me. I want to ask him face to face what he saw. Yimo is not worried about his identity being exposed. If Cheng Ying knew that she was an immortal cultivator, she would save her words. What does it mean? Since Yimo has forgiven himself, why is he still looking for Cheng Ying? Is there any story here? Li Yuan began to ponder Yimo's words. When it comes to women, he has an absolute IQ, and soon he understood what Yimo meant. Brother Yi, I have a villa in Meixin Manor. Cheng Ying will live there tonight. Tomorrow I will have someone transfer the villa to your name. Meixin Manor is located on the edge of Shengying South Road. It can also be regarded as a high-end villa area, with an average selling price of more than 20 million. You are really a talent. Yimo gave a heartfelt admiration. He felt that his expression was very obscure, but he didn't expect that Li Yuan guessed his thoughts right away. I just think you are complimenting me. Brother Yi, you have just come back. Are you free tonight? I would like to invite you to have a meal at Sanhe Restaurant. Of course, the main reason is that Yan Sheng wants to apologize to you in person. Quote, Yan Sheng can be said to be frightened these days. He didn't care at first, even if Li Yuan told him that Yimo might be a martial artist, he didn't take it to heart. But later he found that Mr. Li had surrendered, and then he began to be afraid. Let's wait until next time. Don't worry, as long as he doesn't mess with me again, I won't trouble him. How could Yimo have time to take care of Yan Sheng? Time was tight and he still had to watch the anchor. After hanging up the phone, Yimo began to immerse himself in various live broadcast rooms. After brushing all afternoon, I didn't get a single green spiritual root. At 6 o'clock, Lu Baijin sent a text message, saying that he wanted to go out to eat crayfish. Yimo ran down in a hurry. It's September, the crayfish are all gone. It doesn't matter, I'll just have a taste. Good. Yimo nodded, and then the two of them walked to the commercial street and came to a stall called Zhou Ji Barbecue Restaurant. It's still early and the charcoal for the barbecue hasn't started burning yet. The two of them were not in a hurry. Yimo ordered some barbecue, 3 kilograms of crayfish and a dozen beers. The weather is still very hot in September. So they did not sit inside the store, but found a seat on the roadside outside the store. The crayfish was ready very quickly. Lu Baijin put on disposable gloves and began to peel the shrimp shells, then put the shrimp meat on Yimo's plate. Yimo picked up the shrimp meat and put it into Lu Baijin's mouth. Fortunately, there are not many guests now. Otherwise, if someone sees this scene, they will definitely be off. It wasn't until the 3 kilograms of crayfish were emptied and a few bottles of beer were consumed that the number of customers gradually increased. Cook until the grill is all done. Yimo suddenly saw, not far away, a few Huang Mao riding electric motorcycles, each carrying a little girl behind them, parked on the roadside. There were 8 people in total, 4 men and 4 women. They found a big table and started ordering. Because of his professional habits, Yimo usually conducts character exploration when he sees a decent-looking woman. However, none of these 4 little sisters have spiritual roots. What are you looking at? If you look at it again, I'll pluck out your eyes. Because Yimo looked at them unscrupulously, one of them, Huang Mao, slapped the table and shouted at Yimo with a loud look on his face. Being scolded by a little yellow guy, Yimo actually didn't take it to heart. After all, he was really looking at them. But Yimo didn't say anything, and Huang Mao became more and more arrogant, saying with disdain, "Coward. Look what's wrong with you. You're all wearing fancy clothes and weird outfits. Don't you just want to attract other people's attention and let others see you?" Lu Baijin couldn't bear it anymore. She felt that it was nothing for Yimo to look at them, because she was also looking at them. "Hey, auntie, your man doesn't seem to be much better. I remember my dad also had this hairstyle. Why do you think his style is more handsome than mine?" Xiao Wangmao is also excited. The main reason is that he thinks Lu Baijin is pretty, but he has a bad taste and likes retro hairstyles, which makes him look like a loser. "What did you say?" Lu Baijin gritted his teeth when he was called aunt in public. "Haha, I mean, how could you fall in love with this coward and coward? None of my brothers is better than him. How about a change of taste?" Huang Mao laughed heartily as he spoke. The 3 companions behind him also smiled. But the laughter didn't last long. Snap! A loud sound suddenly rang in my ears. Then with a bang, Huang Mao fell onto the table beside him and fell to the ground. The 3 Wang Mao people didn't expect that Yimo would attack directly and with such severity. They all became angry, grabbed the wine bottle on the table and rushed towards Yimo. Bang bang bang, without exception, as soon as one comes up, the other falls. The 4 yellow-haired men felt their heads buzzing. I couldn't even get up for a while. The 4 little sisters were suddenly frightened and were at a loss. They sat at the table and forgot what to do for a moment. Soon there were people around. They didn't have a good impression of these yellow hairs. Some even said loudly, "Well done." The boss hid in the store and did not dare to come out. He didn't even dare to call the police. Yimo sat back at the table and ate his barbecue as if it was none of his business. I don't know how long it took, but a little girl ran to help her yellow hair up. Only then did the other little girls react, and they all helped up their yellow hair. At this time they also recovered somewhat. Looking at Yimo's expression, there was a hint of fear. It's just that they are too young and don't seem to want to embarrass themselves in front of their little sisters. He still had the same yellow hair as before. He covered half of his red and swollen face and pointed at Yimo with one finger. "Okay, you're good at spanking, right? It's useless if you know how to spank. It's all about power and background. If you have the guts, don't leave." Huang Mao shouted loudly, as if to embolden himself, then turned to look at his companion behind him. "Zhang Wei, call someone." These yellow hairs seemed to really know some people. Especially this person named Zhang Wei. After making the call, he knew that his people would arrive soon, so he started to become arrogant again. At this time, the onlookers began to persuade Yimo to leave quickly. Yimo ignored it. In fact, he had already heard who these yellow-haired people were calling, so he waited for the other party's arrival with great interest. 5 minutes later, a commercial vehicle quickly stopped on the side of the road. When the yellow-haired men saw the car, they seemed to see a savior and pointed at Yimo again. "You are dead." Soon the car door opened, revealing a dazzling bald head, emitting a faint yellow light under the reflection of the street lamp. If it wasn't Brother Dao, who else could it be? Brother Dao got out of the car first, followed by 5 or 6 big men in suits who got out of the car one after another. The 4 Wangmos immediately ran to Brother Dao. "Where are the people?" Brother Dao glanced at the 4 swollen yellow hairs on half of their faces, and his face turned cold. "Brother-in-law, he is still sitting there. This guy named Brother Dao, Huang Mao, who has been facing off against Yimo, is named Wang Chang. He pointed at the crowd, but Yimo was surrounded by people at this time, and Brother Dao did not see Yimo. He walked towards the crowd angrily, with a very ugly expression on his face. Someone dared to beat his brother-in-law in Yang Street. He simply didn't take his Brother Dao seriously. When everyone saw Brother Dao's fierce look, they were all frightened and backed away. At this time, Brother Dao finally saw Yimo. His iconic hairstyle was unforgettable. You said that the person who hit you was the one with the handsome, cool, and thick hair. Brother Dao immediately stopped. He didn't know what he thought of, and his whole body began to tremble. Not only him, but also the 6 horses behind him were so frightened that their souls were shaking when they saw Yimo. One of the horse boys immediately took off his suit, and the others did the same without hesitation. I kept praying. It's September, it's autumn, it's normal to wear a suit. The person who looks handsome and cool without a hairstyle is the one who has a tacky hairstyle. Wang Chang looked confused. Is his hairstyle really more handsome than mine? Very good, I'll make you fall to pieces. Why didn't he beat you to death? I asked you to call me. Brother Dao hit and kicked him, and frantically greeted his brother-in-law. He was completely angry, and there was also extreme fear in his anger. How could I be so unlucky? Why is my life so miserable? Brother Dao wanted to cry, but now he could only hold back his tears. Brother Dao, stop fighting. Wang Chang's face is about to be broken. It hurts too much. It's better to stab him to death. Wang Chang's little sister really couldn't bear her yellow hair to be beaten like this. She hugged Brother Dao's thigh and begged. Wang Chang really wanted to say, thank you. But now Wang Chang has no chance to speak. He can only hold his head and huddle on the ground. After 5 minutes, Brother Dao's hand was really sore from the beating, so he stopped. Then he asked his men to carry Wang Chang to Yimo. Brother Yi, I really didn't know it was you. If I knew it was you, even if I had 10 more courages, I wouldn't dare to come. Brother Dao lowered his head, not even daring to look at Yimo. Do you know what a dozen of us experienced on June 9th in a room of more than 10 square meters? Do you know what it feels like to be stripped naked and thrown into the street? I know. I have experienced it myself. You are too cruel. Yimo looked at Wang Chang, who had a bruised nose and swollen face, and his face was covered in blood. His yellow hair almost turned red. It should be treated as a lesson to the disobedient children. Brother Dao thought to himself, is this hateful? For you, I am already very gentle. Well, you ask them to apologize to my sister-in-law and let them leave. Yimo said lightly. Yes, yes. Brother Dao immediately asked Huang Mao Teimei to line up, and then bowed and apologized to Liu Baijin. Brother Yi, sister-in-law, I'm sorry. Wang Chang couldn't even stand up, so the 2 horsemen had to drag him to Liu Baijin. Wang Chang now also understood that Yimo obviously knew his brother-in-law, and his brother-in-law was afraid of him. But he couldn't figure out how his brother-in-law could be afraid of this guy with such a tacky hairstyle. You can go. Yimo waved his hand. Naturally, Brother Dao didn't want to stay any longer, so he asked his men to take his brother-in-law into the car, while the other Huang Mao and Xiao Teimei left on electric motorcycles. But when Brother Dao just walked to the door, Yimo suddenly stopped him, then got up and walked towards him. You do something for me. Yimo suddenly thought of Yang Lan's matter, and it would be best to let Brother Dao do it. Brother Yi, no matter what you say, I will do my best. Brother Dao said immediately. Chen aiming, you should know where it is. You ask him to divorce Yang Lan on his own initiative, and then give the child to Yang Lan to raise, and promise never to harass Yang Lan again, Yimo said. I know, don't worry, I'll go find him tomorrow and I'll take care of it. Brother Dao vowed. Well, if you can handle this matter, all the things in the past will be wiped out. Yimo patted Brother Dao on the shoulder and returned to the barbecue restaurant. Yimo finished eating his barbecue, so after paying the bill, Yimo took Liu Baijin's little hand and returned to the apartment. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Liu Baijin was practicing while Yimo drove rice to Meixin Manor. In about 20 minutes, Yimo arrived at the gate of Meixin Manor community. Generally, in a community like this, no one other than the owner is allowed to enter. However, Li Yuan told the community security captain early in the morning that a man named Yimo would be coming tonight and asked him to pay attention at all times. So when Yimo reported his name, he was released smoothly. Captain, are today's rich people so low-key? A small security guard looked at the leaving rice and asked doubtfully. Maybe it's a fresh idea. The security captain thought thoughtfully. The entire structure of the Meixen Manor Villa is basically 3 floors above ground and 2 floors below ground. The second floor below is generally used for parking. The villa that Li Yuan gave to Yimo is the king of villas in Meixen Manor, which is Meixen number 1. Located in the middle of the northernmost area. Since other villas are relatively close to each other, their yards are relatively small, but this villa has a front yard of more than 100 square meters and a backyard of more than 50 square meters. Because she knew Yimo was coming, Chen Ying opened the courtyard door early in the morning, and Yimo parked the car in the middle of the courtyard. Yimo just got out of the car and saw Chen Ying opening the door. Because she had just taken a shower, Chen Ying had a towel wrapped around her head and a silver silk pajamas on her body. This afternoon, Li Yuan asked her to come to Meixen Manor and told her to follow Yimo from now on. Chen Ying didn't have any resistance to this, but was only excited. Because she knew that Yimo was stronger than Li Yuan and could crush him in all aspects. Especially in that aspect, there is simply a gap between an ant and an elephant. Both time and space are overwhelming. Mr. Yi, hello. Chen Ying has been following Li Yuan for more than half a year, and she has seen some things in the world, but she is still a little nervous when she sees Yimo again. After all, he is a very strong man. Come into the house and talk. Yimo waved his hand and the two walked into the hall. The entire hall is splendid, the decoration style is European and American, and the furniture is all brand new. I don't know if no one has lived there before, or if Li Yuan specially replaced it with new ones this afternoon. Yimo sat on the sofa, then patted his right side and motioned for Chen Ying to come and sit. Has Li Yuan made everything clear to you? As soon as Chen Ying sat down, Yimo smelled a faint bath fragrance on her body. Chen Ying snorted lightly. What did he tell you? Yimo turned his head to look at him, but his heart was ready to move. This is Huang Lingan. He is a core disciple of the sect in the Water Moon realm. A white Lingan like him can only watch from a distance but cannot play with it. Not on a class level at all. Master Li, I will follow you and follow your orders from now on. Chen Ying replied. Then do you know why I asked Li Yuan to give you to me? Yimo said lightly. Is it because I'm pretty? Chen Ying was not coy. She was still very confident in her appearance. Apart from this reason, she could not think of any other reason. You're not pretentious, but apart from that, what I value most is your talent. Talent? You are talking about the talent for martial arts. You want to teach me how to practice martial arts? Chen Ying frowned slightly. Although martial artist was strong, to be honest, she didn't want to build up her muscles. And why did Yimo teach himself martial arts? Are you trying to cultivate yourself into a killing machine? No, I am interested in your talent for cultivating immortals. I will teach you the techniques for cultivating immortals later, as well as the necessary spiritual stones for cultivating immortals. Of course, this has a prerequisite. I need you to help me have a few children. Chen Ying has Huang Lingan. If she has enough spiritual stones, she will definitely break through and practice Qi first than Zhou Ruolin. Moreover, the better the spiritual root, the higher the talent for comprehending spells. In other words, Chen Ying will soon become a qualified immortal cultivator, and then she can also help Yimo convince others. Cultivation. Chen Ying had no objections to having children. On the contrary, if she could give birth to Yimo's children, her status would be stronger in the future. But what the hell is this cultivating immortality? Yes, you may not believe it now, but it doesn't matter. You just need to do what I do. Okay, time is running out, let's get down to business first. Facing Chen Ying, Yimo didn't need to use magic to prove himself. In this situation, she should be able to do whatever she said. Chen Ying really didn't ask any more questions. But what is Yimo talking about? Is there a bedroom on the first floor? Yimo said without waiting for Chen Ying to ask. Yes, over there, the bed I just bought. Chen Ying pointed to the door opposite. Good. Yimo crooked his hand, picked up Chen Ying, and walked towards the room. Mr. Yi, before we start, I want to make sure of one thing. The moment she was picked up by Yimo, Chen Ying felt Yimo's strong chest muscles. She thought of the hour that day between Yimo and Liu Baijin. She had always suspected that it was fake, so she wanted to test it herself. What's the matter? Yimo asked curiously. I want to try this first. Ying clenched her little hands slightly and made a gesture. I'm afraid you can't do it. Yimo smiled slightly. Ying was familiar with this statement. She said she had heard it before, but she didn't believe it. Mr. Yi, I hope you can still laugh later. Ying is still very confident. Half an hour later, Ying's face was flushed and her hands were numb. She gave up completely, and at this moment she had no reason to doubt. 10 p.m. The war is over. Ying's cheeks were like red apples. The red one lay on Yimo's chest. Yimo didn't continue, turned on his phone, sent her the Immortal Cultivation technique, and then gave her 300 spirit stones. Finally, he told her to practice hard. Then Yimo left the villa and came to the gate of the community. The security captain registered the car information for Yimo so that it would be easier to enter and exit next time. Back at the apartment, Yimo watched the live broadcast for another 2 hours. Next, the anchor Yimo finds will be handed over to Ying. The next day, September 23rd, Yimo sold all the gold he had, for a total of 30 million. He thought to himself, now that he has money, he should buy a house and a car. Then move to a new house with Liu Baijin. 4 p.m. Yimo was working hard when his cell phone suddenly rang, and the caller ID read, Li Yuan. Brother Yi, Uncle Yang was seriously injured and is about to die. He wants to see you one last time. After answering the phone, Li Yuan spoke. Uncle Yang is naturally Yang Ming. At this time, Yang Ming was lying in the hospital, dying. Where are the others? Yimo didn't know what Yang Ming was doing when he saw him. After thinking about it, he decided to go there, and he was also curious about who injured him. The 6th hospital. Arrive at the hospital and walk into Yang Ming's ward. In the ward, besides Li Yuan, there was also a female doctor, who seemed to be recording something. Yimo came to Yang Ming's hospital bed, opened his consciousness, and found that Yang Ming's internal organs had been displaced, especially his heart, which had been ruptured. And the bones all over the body were broken in many places. Had he not been a martial artist? For an ordinary person, this kind of injury would have seen the king of hell long ago. But even so, at this time, he was sometimes awake and sometimes comatose. The hospital has also issued a death notice. Brother Yi, you are here. Yang Ming opened his eyes and immediately wanted to sit up when he saw Yimo. It seemed that he didn't want Yimo to see such a weak side of him. Well, a stubborn martial artist. But just as he was about to move, he was stopped by the female doctor on the side. Lin Xishuang was actually very curious. Logically speaking, Yang Ming would never be able to last this long. Maybe there are some wishes that have not been fulfilled. Is it just to meet this young man? If you have anything to explain, just say it. There may not be much that can be done about this kind of injury to others, but for Yimo, it's actually not difficult. He obtained a healing elixir from Zhang Wentao. As long as Yang Ming takes the elixir, it won't take long for Yang Ming to fully recover. It's just that he has no friendship with Yang Ming, so there is no need to waste a pill for him. After all, it is not easy to obtain healing pills in the mine. However, he saw that Yang Ming couldn't even speak clearly, so he finally decided to send some spiritual energy to Yang Ming. Although spiritual energy cannot cure such an injury, it can make Yang Ming feel better. Thinking of this, Yimo directly put his hand on Yang Ming's chest. What are you doing, still not letting go of your hands? Lin Xishuang shouted when she saw Yimo's actions. Yimo's hand was placed right on Yang Ming's heart. If he pressed it down, Yang Ming would definitely die. Yimo ignored her and the spiritual energy in his hand slowly flowed into Yang Ming's body. Not long after, Yang Ming, who was originally pale, turned red. This scene immediately shocked Lin Xishuang. Even Li Yuan's eyes were shining. He knew that Yimo was very strong, but he didn't expect that he could even save a dying person. When Yimo's spiritual energy entered his body, Yang Ming immediately felt an extremely pure energy. This energy was many times more pure than his internal strength. Yang Ming's heart was filled with turmoil. Because of such pure internal strength, even the ancestor of the Wuji sect who has lived for 200 years will never be able to do it. It just relieves your pain, but it doesn't help you recover from your injuries. Yimo took his hand back and said calmly, "Thanks." Yang Ming naturally knew that he was injured, and even if the ancestor came, there would be nothing he could do. However, he also expressed his sincere gratitude to Yimo, and he also knew that Yimo was by no means an ordinary martial artist. At this moment, he no longer hesitated and said immediately, "Brother Yi, 3 years ago, I obtained a skill book. This skill has 5 levels in total, but I only obtained the first 2 levels. But just like that, as long as I break through the first level, my body can withstand bullets, but I can't cultivate. You should cultivate with the Golden Bell Shield. It should be from the same source. Maybe you can cultivate successfully." Yang Ming said it without hesitation. Fortunately for Li Yuan, after all, he knew about the existence of martial artists. But Lin Xishuang was a little speechless. "Do you know you are going to die? Are you holding on till now just to say this? Then what?" Yimo's expression did not change. "He has no interest in the skills on Blue Star. Brother Yi, this is the only thing I can get." Seeing that Yimo didn't seem to have any interest, Yang Ming was a little anxious, but he still said, "My injury was caused by an enemy. 3 years ago, my strength was almost the same as his, but now he should have broken through the earth level. I know there is absolutely no way for me to survive, but I still have a daughter, Brother Yi. I have no other requirements, I just hope you can take her overseas." "Have you ever thought about it? I'm actually not from overseas." Yimo understood what Yang Ming meant. When Yang Ming talked about going overseas, he didn't just mean going abroad, but he wanted his daughter to join overseas forces. This would keep his daughter safe. "It's not overseas, Brother Yi, you." Yang Ming had never thought that Yimo was not from overseas, so he was stunned for a moment. "It is not convenient for me to reveal my identity." Yimo shook his head and then said, "Yang Ming, you and I can be considered acquaintances. If you can trust me, you can let your daughter come to Tianhe apartment. If your enemy comes looking for her, I can protect your daughter's safety." Yimo finally relaxed, mainly because he asked the Li family to provide him with firearms. And next, Yimo also needs the Li family to provide him with a large number of guns. Good. If her daughter can follow Yimo, she will naturally be safe. Yang Ming might have been suspicious before, but just now he felt that Yimo's inner strength was so pure that a prefecture-level martial artist would never be able to defeat Yimo. Okay. Yimo nodded and then prepared to leave the ward. Li Yuan followed closely, but as soon as he reached the door of the room, Li Yuan saw Yimo suddenly turn around and then walked straight towards Lin Xishuang. "Beauty, give me some prestige." Yimo walked up to Lin Xishuang and took out his phone. Lin Xishuang, Li Yuan, Lin Xishuang, the most beautiful intern doctor at the 6th hospital. The 4 major families in Yangcheng, the contemporary patriarch of the Lin family, and the daughter of Lin Zhenshan. Graduated from Yenching University, she combines beauty and wisdom. When Yimo asked for prestige from Lin Xishuang, Li Yuan could only think about me and me. Although the Li family is the richest man in Yinzhou district, compared with the Lin family, they are not on the same level at all. So although Lin Xishuang looked extremely stunning, Li Yuan didn't even dare to look at her. Because as far as he knew, there were countless people pursuing Lin Xishuang in Yangcheng, but no one liked Lin Xishuang. And those who don't believe in evil and want to stalk and fight. Later, there was no later. It is said that it has become fodder for the East China Sea. So when Yimo wanted to gain prestige from Lin Xishuang, Li Yuan was shocked, but also a little expectant, because he wanted to see Yimo's frustrated expression. "I'll scan you." Lin Xishuang was stunned for 3 seconds, then took out her cell phone from her chest, made a beep sound, and quickly typed, "My name is Lin Xishuang. Are you free tonight? I'd like to invite you to have dinner with me." Yimo posted a smiley face on Weixin. "I won't go to a roadside stall." "Then you choose a place. Let's go to Sanhe Hotel. The seafood there is delicious and it's close. After dinner, you have to work overtime at night." "Okay, I happen to have an acquaintance over there." Li Yuan. Chapter 31. Because it was already past 5 o'clock, and Lin Xishuang was about to get off work in 10 minutes. So Yimo simply stayed in the ward and went to the restaurant with Lin Xishuang when he got off work. Li Yuan sat by the window of the ward. He looked out the window for a while, and then looked at Yimo and Lin Xishuang, who were sitting on the same hospital bed and talking and laughing. He looked confused. He couldn't figure out what the reason was. Is it the hairstyle? Yimo, is the technique that Yang Ming mentioned just now the technique of martial artist? As the four major families in Yangcheng, the Lin family naturally has martial artists. However, Lin Shishuang was not interested in learning martial arts and did not practice martial arts. Do you still know martial artist? Although Blue Star has many martial artists, the country has not made them public. Not many people actually know. Otherwise, I'm afraid countless people would want to practice martial arts. Of course I know. My grandfather is a martial artist, and he is very powerful. However, I don't like martial arts, so I didn't learn it. You just helped Yang Ming heal her injuries and made her recover instantly. How did you do that? Lin Shishuang has no interest in martial arts training, but she has a strong interest in medical skills. Because she has been exposed to medical things since she was a child. The Lin family has many industries, including medicinal materials. And there are traditional Chinese medicine pharmacies opened all over the country. After Lin Shishuang's internship, she planned to enter the family medicinal materials business. But what Yimo did just now really shocked her, which was why she agreed to Yimo's prestige and meal. This thing is hard to explain. If you want to know, you can reach out your hand and I'll let you feel it. Whether it is spiritual power or internal power, it cannot be explained scientifically and cannot be detected by any instrument. But it is real. Lin Shishuang stretched out her little hand without any hesitation. Then Yimo gently placed his palm on her palm. A faint and gentle spiritual power slowly extended from the palm of her hand into her body. Lin Shishuang couldn't help but let out a soft hum. The spiritual energy entered her body, as if a warm current was flowing through her body. Are you comfortable? Yimo smiled slightly. Well, it's really comfortable. It seems like there is something warm and moving inside my body. It's really amazing. Lin Shishuang nodded immediately. She knew the inner strength. But in her impression, internal force seemed to bring only destruction. This stuff can not only make people feel refreshed, but if taken for a long time, it can also delay aging. Reiki can indeed slow down aging. Because it can remove impurities from the body. Really, can it also delay aging? Lin Shishuang expressed doubts. Because she has seen a lot of martial artists, and she has never seen them much younger than ordinary people. Of course it's true. I'm just an example. Look at my skin, it's no worse than yours. Yimo lifted his sleeves up, and then touched Lin Shishuang's arms. This is no more shocking than not knowing. Lin Shishuang's arm was completely defeated. How is this possible? Lin Shishuang turned her arms up and down, but no matter from which angle she looked, she was at a disadvantage. Lin Shishuang never thought that her skin would lose to a man. Yimo, how old are you? Lin Shishuang couldn't help but ask. 26. Yimo's soul age is 26, but this body is only 26 years old. Of course, even if this body is 30 years old, the skin will not change much. If a Qi training monk is not injured, he can live to be 120 years old, which is absolutely fine. Oh my god, you are 3 years older than me. Lin Shishuang was completely shocked. When she first saw Yimo, she thought that Yimo would never be over 20 years old. Haha, so the facts are in front of you. I didn't lie to you. Do you want me to lose to you again? Yimo chuckled. I want it, I want it. Lin Shishuang immediately stretched out her little hand. Then I'll speed up, I'll get off work later. Yimo grabbed Lin Shishuang's little hand again, and the spiritual power quickly entered her body. Well, Yimo, slow down, I feel like there is a fire in my body and it's about to burn. Because the spiritual energy traveled too fast, the blood in Lin Shishuang's whole body seemed to be boiling. This does no harm and speeds up the removal of impurities. However, Lin Shishuang seemed to be unable to bear it any longer, so Yimo had no choice but to slow down. 1 minute later, Yimo, my whole body feels much lighter, and the fatigue from the day has disappeared. Lin Shishuang said excitedly. This was really beyond her expectation. The effect this time was much better than the previous one. It's normal, because if you speed up, it can promote your blood circulation and your energy and spirit will be much stronger. Yimo explained. Can it still be like this? Yimo, from now on, can you input it for me once a day? Lin Shishuang was completely conquered. She felt that if Yimo didn't lose to her in the future, she might not be able to sleep at night. Losing every day may be a bit expensive, but I can teach you how to practice. In this case, the effect will be better than if I help you lose. In fact, since Yimo entered the ward, he is not as calm as he appears. Because, at the moment when he saw Lin Shishuang, before he could call the system directly displayed Lin Shishuang's information. Character: Lin Shishuang. Cultivation: None. Spiritual root: Purple spiritual root, Chaos Immortal Body. P.S. The Chaos Immortal Body ignores any bottlenecks before the body becomes an immortal. The host and its dual cultivation will also greatly enhance their physique. Needless to say, Zillingen, Yimo has never encountered one so far. Chaos Immortal Physique. This kind of physique, it is difficult to find one in the Immortal Cultivation world in 1,000 years. The body can be cultivated to become an immortal, break through the void, and enter the immortal world. You are practicing, will you waste a lot of time? Lin Shishuang frowned slightly. The main reason why she has no interest in practicing martial arts is that she is afraid of wasting time. Because his parents are like this, they can't see each other all day long. I just checked, and I found that your talent is quite good. If you practice 4 or 5 hours a day for a few months, you should be able to develop it. Yimo was not very anxious about Lin Shishuang. From the conversation just now, Yimo knew that Lin Shishuang's family must be extraordinary. If you want her to give birth to a child for you, you must not go straight to the point, you must take your time. Real, Lin Shishuang expressed some doubts. Because that's not what his grandfather told her. You'll know if you try it. It's time to get off work now. Come on, let's go eat first. Yimo looked at his phone and saw that it was already 5:35. Okay, you wait for me to change clothes. After saying this, Lin Shishuang hurriedly ran out of the ward. During the whole process, Ming lay on the hospital bed with his eyes closed. At this time, he regretted entrusting his daughter to Yimo. Is this how you deceive a little girl? Li Yuan, who was sitting in front of the window, had already admired Yimo for a long time. He really wants to practice martial arts now. This is simply like picking up girls with divine weapon. But now Ming is dying. Will Yimo accept him? Or just kowtow 3 times first? Not long after, Lin Shishuang changed her clothes and hurried to the ward. At the moment she was wearing a sleeveless black dress with the hem just covering her knees, and a pair of white flat sneakers on her feet. Very simple outfit, but any outfit also needs to be individualized. Just like Lin Shishuang now, she gives people a feeling of youthfulness and cuteness, like a peony in bud, charming but not seductive, gorgeous but not vulgar. Let's go, are you driving? Lin Shishuang gently waved her hand to Yimo and smiled sweetly, which was very nice. Yes. Yimo stood up and walked towards her. Then I'll take your car. Li Yuan looked at the 2 people walking away and didn't know whether to follow him or not, but Yimo didn't seem to call him. Then he looked at Ming who was lying on the bed and thought that he might as well forget it, just in case Uncle Yang is still there. What last words? In about 15 minutes, Yimo drove Rice to Sanhe Hotel. Because Yimo asked Li Yuan to inform Yan Sheng. Yan Sheng heard that Yimo was coming and immediately arranged a luxurious private room. Then he took several security guards and stood waiting at the gate. However, Yan Sheng didn't know what kind of car Yimo drove. Until Yimo got out of the car, he immediately ran over. Master Yi, welcome. Yan Sheng thought for a long time and felt that it would be better to call him young Master Yi. Calling him Brother Yi would not be appropriate for his age. Then he looked at Lin Shishuang again. Good guy, Mr. Yi is indeed no ordinary person. The women around him are more beautiful than the last. Yan Sheng didn't know Lin Shishuang, and with his status, he didn't have access to people like the Lin family. Under the leadership of Yan Sheng, Yimo and the others quickly arrived at the private room. The private room is very spacious, and it won't seem crowded even if there are more than a dozen people there. Lin Shishuang didn't know if it was intentional or not. She waited for Yimo to sit down, and then she chose the seat closest to Yimo and sat down. Yan Sheng personally served the food and water, and then handed Yimo a menu to order. Yimo handed the menu to Lin Shishuang. Although Lin Shishuang has been pampered since she was a child, she is not particular about her food. So wild large yellow croaker, top quality red crab, wild bamboo shrimp, Jeju Island hairtail, drift net pomfret. Lin Shishuang ordered 6 or 7 kinds of seafood in one go, which was also her daily meal. As for whether to finish eating or not, she didn't seem to think about it at all. In the past, Yi Mo didn't dare to expect these things, but now he doesn't feel too big about them. When it comes to eating, he is somewhat interested in some monster meat. Master Yi, wait a moment, the food will be here soon. Yan Sheng took the menu and went to the kitchen in person. But Yan Sheng soon knocked on the door again and said cautiously, Master Yi, the yellow croaker weighing 2 kilograms was just ordered by a customer. Can one weigh 1 kilogram? Some customers will strongly request a certain kind of seafood, and he can bring it from other places. But he really couldn't get the 2 kilograms of yellow croaker for a while. Yi Mo didn't reply, but looked at Lin Shishuang. Lin Shishuang did not embarrass Yan Sheng and nodded gently. Yan Sheng breathed a sigh of relief. Yi Mo, what do you do? About 10 minutes later, the seafood was served one after another. Lin Shishuang took a bite of the pomfret. It was quite fresh and the meat was thick. Because the clothes Yi Mo wears are not very expensive, just take the shirt on his body, which is only 800 or 900 pieces. And he drove an ordinary car. He shouldn't be a rich young man. But the boss here respected Yi Mo very much and even called Yi Mo Mr. Yi, which made Lin Shishuang feel a little confused. You can think of me as nature's porter. Yi Mo thought a little. I think it is better to arrange an identity for myself, such as a company to open, otherwise it will be difficult to make up every time people ask. What is being moved? It can't be water, right? Lin Shishuang asked, tilting her head. It's hard to move water now. What I mainly move is ore. Yi Mo said casually. Lin Shishuang saw that Yi Mo didn't seem to want to elaborate, so she didn't ask any more questions. As the food was served, the two of them ate with gusto. But at this moment, the door of the private room was pushed open again, and a man in his 30s staggered in. He had obviously drank a lot. The man walked in and found Yi Mo alone. He also realized that he had gone to the wrong private room. He was about to turn around and leave when he inadvertently glanced at Lin Shishuang, and his eyes suddenly lit up. To be honest, this is the first time he has seen such a pure and beautiful girl after visiting all major universities. So he walked directly to Lin Shishuang. Beauty, I am the president of Yong'an Group. My name is Wang Hao. Are you interested in going to my place for a drink? Although Wang Hao was a little drunk, but not too much. He glanced at Yi Mo and found that he was wearing ordinary clothes and was no different from a poor person in his eyes. How can a poor man play a high game? So he directly ignored Yi Mo. Go away. Lin Shishuang's face turned cold. She did know that Yong'an Group was a listed company with a market value of billions, but such a company was simply not worth mentioning in the eyes of the Lin family. Moreover, the other party has a fat head, big ears, and dirty eyes. It made her feel sick to look at it even more. Haha, beauty, you may not know me very well, or you may not have much appreciation for Yong'an, but as long as you follow me, you will find that you can come to a hotel like this every day and choose brand name bags at will. Quote. Wang Hao didn't care at all about Lin Shishuang's reaction. Because no woman can resist the temptation of money. The more he refused, the more excited he became, because when he knelt down and sang Conquer, he would have a greater sense of accomplishment. I say it again, get out of here. Lin Shishuang's voice turned completely cold. Because the smell of alcohol on Wang Hao's body made her extremely uncomfortable, she had no choice but to get up and come to the left side of Yi Mo. Beauty, don't be too hasty to refuse, bang. Wang Hao refused to give up and wanted to go to Lin Shishuang's side. Yi Mo raised his foot and kicked him. He discovered that for some people, if they can make a move, they should never make a fuss. He stood up, walked to Wang Hao, picked it up, walked outside the box, and threw it away. The corridor outside the box was relatively clean. Wang Hao slid for more than 10 meters until his head hit the corner, then he stopped and then passed out. Lin Shishuang knew that Yi Mo was a martial artist, so she was not surprised. Yi Mo knew that as the boss of a group, he would definitely not let it go if he was beaten, so he called Yan Sheng and asked him to deal with it. Then the two of them continued eating. Judging from Lin Shishuang's attitude towards Wang Hao, Yi Mo was more sure that Lin Shishuang's family was extraordinary, so he asked curiously. Lin Shishuang didn't deliberately hide it, she told everything. At the end of the sentence, she specially winked at Yimo. How about it, do you dare to invite me to dinner next time? Generally speaking, when others heard about her family's situation, they would shrink back. Yimo peeled off a red crab, then put the crab roe into Lin Shishuang's bowl. Whenever you are free, take me to your house. I want to talk to your grandpa. Ah, Lin Shishuang's surprised voice dragged out for a long time. She was indeed a little curious about Yimo, but that was all. So no matter how Yimo answered, she wouldn't take it to heart. But I never expected it. Yimo actually said that he wanted to see his grandfather. Lin Shishuang's beautiful eyes widened, and she realized that Yimo seemed to be a little different. Yimo, my grandfather is a very powerful martial artist. If he finds out about our relationship and you dare to find him, he may beat you to death. Lin Shishuang is not exaggerating. There used to be some people who were blind, but now the grass on their graves is more than 1 meter high. Miss, what's our relationship? I know your grandfather is very powerful, so I just want to ask him about martial arts. Yimo chuckled. You are so bad. Lin Shishuang was stunned for a moment, her cheeks flushed, and she punched Yimo's arm a few times with her small fists. She found that she seemed to have fallen into a pit. What I said is true. Yimo really wanted to meet Lin Shishuang's grandfather. Because if you want to take down Lin Shishuang, you will definitely not be able to avoid the Lin family. As long as Lin Shishuang's grandfather is conquered, everything will be easy. I really want to see you. When I get home that night, ask my grandpa if he wants to see you. Lin Shishuang frowned slightly. She and Yimo had just met, so it was naturally impossible for her to take Yimo to see her grandfather. She was just perfunctory with Yimo. However, she did have to ask her grandfather something. Because Yimo's internal strength seemed different from what she knew, she wanted to ask her grandfather what happened. In the box next door, Yan Sheng received Yimo's call and rushed over quickly. Then he found Wang Hao, who was unconscious in the corridor. He immediately had Wang Hao carried to the box. Wang Hao woke up not long after. Mr. Wang, what's going on? How did you provoke Yimo? Yan Sheng looked at the big bag on Wang Hao's head and wanted to laugh but didn't dare. After all, he was beaten in his own store. If he didn't handle it well, he would have to vent his anger on himself. Yimo, you said the guy in the next box is named Yimo. Boss Yan asked the security to arrest him immediately. I'm going to kill him. Wang Hao touched the big bump on his head and grimaced in pain. Mr. Wang, calm down. You may not know Yimo. He is Mr. Li's guest. It was Mr. Li who arranged for him to come to my hotel today. Seeing Wang Hao's angry expression now, Yan Sheng felt a little gloating for some reason. It's not that he has any grudge against Wang Hao. But when he was beaten violently by Yimo, he also wanted to skin Yimo. Now finally someone feels the same as me. Master Li's people. Wang Hao, however, misunderstood and thought Yan Sheng said Yimo was Li Yuan's subordinate. Of course, even Li Yuan's subordinates would not dare to take revenge blatantly. After all, he was not justified in this matter. But was this beating in vain? Mr. Wang, why did Yimo hit you? Seeing that Wang Hao remained silent, Yan Sheng started to gossip. I drank some wine and went to the toilet. When I came back, I went to the wrong box. Unexpectedly, the person in that box kicked me out. Naturally, Wang Hao would not admit that he was beaten because he was pestering Lin Shishuang. If that's the case, Mr. Wang, I think this matter can be settled as it is. Not only does Yimo have an unusual relationship with young Master Li, but he himself is also very strong. Yan Sheng was worried and directly said that Yimo was very strong. Wang Hao didn't appreciate it, so he continued, a few months ago, 5 security guards in my store were hit by him with electric batons. After saying that, Yan Sheng also showed Wang Hao the video of Yimo beating up the security guard a few months ago. Oh, there is such a thing. Wang Hao thought thoughtfully. At this time, he also remembered that Yimo could lift him up as easily as he could lift a chicken, which ordinary people would never be able to do. Mr. Wang, I think there may be congestion on your head, so you should go to the hospital first. Having said what he should say, Yan Sheng felt that Wang Hao would not trouble Yimo again. Yan Sheng nodded, his head hurt really bad. Then he left the box with the help of several men. Yan Sheng personally escorted him to the car and then returned to the box to report to Yi Mo. Yi Mo didn't care either. He and Lin Shishwang ate until 7 o'clock, then sent her back to the 6th hospital. Lin Shishwang went to work and Yi Mo came to Yang Ming's ward. Li Yuan went somewhere and Yang Ming was in a coma. Yi Mo finally didn't give him the healing elixir. Mainly, this elixir is also very important to him. If there is an accident in the mine, the Holy Spirit elixir will become a life-saving straw. Drive back to the apartment. Because it was still early and the traffic was heavy, Yi Mo didn't notice that there was a tail behind him. Back at the apartment, Liu Baijin was practicing, so Yi Mo had to go back to his room. Next, Yi Mo did not watch the live broadcast but practiced. He obtained 10 qi gathering pills from Zhang Wentao, but he did not use the pills to practice immediately. The effect of elixirs is better than that of spirit stones. He wants to wait until the aura value reaches 15 before using elixirs to practice. It will be more cost-effective and he may be able to break through the middle stage of qi training in one fell swoop. Bayou Mansion, a high-end villa community. After Wang Hao was simply bandaged in the hospital, he hurried to villa number 3 of Bayou Mansion. Then he stood outside the courtyard gate and rang the doorbell. As the saying goes, if you don't get it, you will always be in turmoil. Wang Hao is obsessed with Lin Shishwang, but when he thinks of getting Lin Shishwang, the first priority now is to deal with Yi Mo. Although Yi Mo is very good at fighting, he also knows an absolutely awesome person who lives in No. 3, Bayou Mansion. Not long after, a middle-aged man in his 40s opened the courtyard door. Wang Hao, I told you, if there is nothing important, please don't disturb me. The middle-aged man said expressionlessly. Master, help me. Wang Hao said with a sad face, and then he immediately told what happened at Sanhe Hotel. Of course, he added fuel to the fire, saying that Yi Mo not only beat him, but also threatened to destroy his family. You mean, the other party might be a martial artist? The middle-aged man frowned slightly. It must be so. I watched his video. He kicked someone 10 meters away with one kick, and the speed was extremely fast. Wang Hao said immediately. Well, I understand, Wang Hao, it's not impossible if you want me to help you. You can help me find someone. After the middle-aged man finished speaking, he returned to the villa, and soon he walked out with a photo in his hand. Find this woman, and I can help you deal with Yi Mo forever. Wang Hao suddenly felt happy and then took the photo. She is quite beautiful. Could it be that Master Gao has the same hobbies as me? Master, don't worry, as long as this woman is in Yangcheng, I will be able to help you find her soon. It's really easy to find someone with a photo. Just when Wang Hao wanted to put the photo away, one of his subordinates behind him suddenly said softly, I seem to know this woman. She seems to be an anchor who specializes in playing games. She is said to have been professionally fighting against counterfeiting for 20 years. Oh, then do you know where he is now? When the middle-aged man heard this, a gleam flashed in his eyes. I don't know where she is, but she should go to Longshan Martial Arts School tomorrow to challenge the owner of Longshan Martial Arts School. September 24th, 9 o'clock in the morning. While Yi Mo was practicing, there was a sudden knock on the door. When he opened his consciousness and took a look, he found Brother Dao and his 2 horses standing outside the door. At first, Yi Mo thought it was because of Yang Lan. But after seeing his look, I almost laughed out loud. At this time, Brother Dao had gauze on his head and bandages on his hands, and his hands were bent unnaturally. What kind of look do you have? It's very 6 plus 7. You must have hit a tree. Brother Dao didn't pay attention to Yi Mo's ridicule. Instead, he said with a cry, Brother Yi, please avenge me. Yi Mo was a little curious, so he let them into the room, and Brother Dao immediately started talking non-stop. It turns out that Brother Dao was beaten severely by Yang Ming and Yi Mo. They are sure of one thing, that is, there is really a very powerful kung fu in this world. So he and his younger brother worked together to learn martial arts. Naturally, they needed to find a master to learn martial arts, and soon they found a famous martial arts gym in Yangcheng. Longshan Martial Arts School. The owner of the martial arts hall is called Longshan. It is said that Longshan has very strong internal strength and can knock down people from 5 meters away. Brother Dao and a group of younger brothers signed up immediately. although Longshan told them that he was too old and his talent in martial arts was not good enough. But Brother Dao still insisted. For 3 months, Brother Dao has been practicing internal skills. It just hasn't been productive. Others would have given up long ago, but Longshan had personally experienced the power of Yang Ming and Yi Mo. So he never gave up. Seeing his persistence, Longshan accepted him as a closed disciple. For closed disciples, the fees are not low. But Brother Dao didn't care at all. On the contrary, he was a little excited because he knew that Longshan might want to teach him his real skills. But Longshan was not happy for a few days, and everything came to nothing again. This morning, a woman came to play at the gym. As a closed disciple, Brother Dao did his duty and was the first to fight. Then, there is no then. He originally wanted to wait for Longshan to take action, but after looking for a long time, there was no trace of Longshan anywhere. Brother Yi, that woman is very arrogant and doesn't take our Xuanwu seriously at all. Please clear Xuanwu's name. Longshan escaped, and Brother Dao roughly guessed that Longshan was a liar. But this does not mean that Xuanwu cannot be fought. Isn't this also Yi Mo? So Brother Dao was in the hospital, simply bandaged, and hurried to find Yi Mo. What's her name? When Yi Mo heard that the other party was here to play, he subconsciously thought of Yang Siqi. I forgot to ask this. Brother Dao was stunned and shook his head. Is it her? Yi Mo took out his mobile phone and found the anti-counterfeiting video posted by Yang Siqi. Yes, that's her. Brother Yi, do you know her? Brother Dao's heart skipped a beat. Maybe the flood would have washed away the Dragon King Temple. Wouldn't it be so sad? I don't know. Where is your martial arts school? Can you still ask her out? Since it is Yang Siqi, there is no harm in going to meet him. She should still be at our martial arts studio on Zhongxing Road. When I leave, ask her not to leave until I call my eldest brother over. Hearing Yi Mo say that he didn't know him, Brother Dao immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, then let's go meet her. Yi Mo nodded. Then Yi Mo took Brother Dao's business car and arrived at Longshan Martial Arts Hall. Perhaps because of Yi Mo's presence, Brother Dao has regained his former self-confidence, and even the injuries on his body don't hurt that much. As soon as Yi Mo entered the martial arts hall, he found a young woman wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt fighting with 3 tall men on the ring. However, the battle did not last long. The 3 men soon fell to the ground. This isn't Sonda at all. It's obviously internal strength, but it's just a martial artist wearing the appearance of Sonda. Yi Mo could tell at a glance that every time Yang Siqi punched, there was a wave of energy. Although it is very weak, it is not something that an ordinary person can bear. I said, these people are all fake, they just come out to deceive people in the name of spreading martial arts. Yang Siqi clapped her hands and then said loudly to the camera. Under the ring, a girl was holding a mobile phone next to the stand, constantly adjusting the shooting angle. Because of Yang Siqi's strong performance, there was a burst of cheers in the live broadcast room, and gifts kept flying by. Haha, little girl, I thought I was invincible after learning some superficial skills. At this moment, a dozen people suddenly poured in at the door of the martial arts hall. Walking at the front, he was probably in his 40s, with his hair slicked back and wearing cloth shoes. He walked step by step with an imposing manner. Behind him, there is a man whose head is wrapped in gauze with a little red in the middle. Who else could it be but Wang Hao? Yi Mo turned around and looked around, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He didn't expect to meet the president of Yong'an Group here. Wang Hao naturally saw Yi Mo. He was stunned for a moment. He didn't seem to expect that Yi Mo would be here. This was really an enemy on a narrow road. He immediately told Master Gao. Gao Yi glanced at Yi Mo. He withdrew his gaze and continued walking towards the ring. Uncle, are you also practicing martial arts? Yang Siqi watched the middle-aged man walking step by step, and could tell that the other man was different. At least he had a solid foundation and must have been practiced. But Yang Siqi is not afraid at all. Although she has just become a martial artist, she has absolute confidence in dealing with someone who has practiced boxing and kicking. Haha, Chuan Wu. Gao Yi sneered, then tapped his foot lightly, and he fled directly to the ring. Although the arena is not high, Master Gao is about 10 meters away from the arena. This scene immediately shocked everyone present. Even the fans in the live broadcast room exclaimed in surprise. Xiao Cixi is not being honest anymore. We promised to crack down on counterfeiting, but why are we adding special effects? It should be necessary for the plot. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can hit the ring next time. ... Because they were not present, the fans in the live broadcast room simply did not believe that someone could jump so far. You should be Yang Ming's daughter. Tell me, are the first 2 levels of the star body refining technique on your body? Master Gao is approaching step by step. Mr. Gao's name is Gao Yuanshan. 3 years ago, he and Yang Ming explored a cave together and found a book of exercises called Star Body Refining Technique. Seeing that the skill was extremely powerful, the two of them wanted to take it for themselves. During the snatching process, the skill was torn into 2 pieces. Gao Yuanshan won the last 3 floors, and Yang Ming won the first 2 floors. Because there are only the last 3 levels, Gao Yuanshan cannot practice at all. This time he broke through to the prefecture level and immediately came to look for Yang Ming, but he did not find the technique. However, he found a photo of Yang Cixi on Yang Ming. He guessed that Yang Cixi might be Yang Ming's daughter, and the skill might be in Yang Cixi's body. You know my dad. Seeing that the other party could jump so far at once, and knowing his father, Yang Cixi knew that the other party should be a martial artist. Answer me, otherwise you won't be able to leave this martial arts hall today. Gao Yuanshan stretched out his palm and grabbed Yang Cixi's throat with his 5 claws. Gao Yuan Mountain was approaching quickly, and Yang Cixi suddenly felt a strong sense of oppression. Yang Cixi was shocked. From this move alone, she knew that the opponent's internal strength was several times stronger than her own. She immediately mobilized all her internal strength. Then he made fists with both hands and shot out several fist shadows in an instant. Wu Jiquan can not only attack, but also has certain defensive properties. Bang bang bang. Yang Cixi's fist collided with Gao Yuanshan's 5 fingers. Several claw marks appeared on the back of Yang Cixi's hand instantly, and blood flowed out. Naturally, Yang Cixi couldn't care less about her injuries. She immediately retreated and then jumped into the air. Mu Shui, take the sword. Yang Cixi gave a sweet shout. Li Mu Shui, who was standing next to the mobile phone stand, slapped the stand with her palm, and saw a hole suddenly opened in the middle of the stand. 2 long swords fell from their stands. Li Mu Shui grabbed it and then threw a long sword towards Yang Cixi, who was still high in the sky. Don't move. Yang Cixi and Li Mu Shui, both holding long swords, pointed at Gao Yuan Mountain on the stage. The 2 people moved in one go, once again stunning everyone. There was another commotion in the live broadcast room. That's wrong. Xiao Shui is so cute, but she's actually dishonest. I just came here. Didn't I say we were cracking down on fake martial arts? Why did we start making a martial arts movie? Maybe the plot requires it. I love it. I didn't expect Xiao Shui to be so handsome. This is not a special effect. Cixi should be a real martial artist, but the uncle opposite is really strong. Cixi may be capsized this time. In the basement of a villa in Heshu district, a woman crossed her legs, knocked on melon seeds, and looked at the picture on the computer screen in front of her. She has been following Yang Cixi's live broadcast room for a long time, and she knew that Yang Cixi was a martial artist early on. But no one cared about the barrage she posted. Don't overestimate your capabilities. The corners of Gao Yuanshan's mouth curled up. He jumped up, like an eagle spreading its wings, and rushed towards Yang Cixi. Gao Yuanshan didn't care at all about the long swords in their hands. The internal energy merged into his palms, and his hands instantly turned red. Yang Cixi and the others did not dare to be careless and immediately drew out their swords. The sword body suddenly emitted bursts of cold air, as if it was covered with a layer of frost. Immediately afterwards, dozens of sword shadows emitted from the space. The sword shadow and the red palm collided, making a sound of metal collision. Wuji swordsmanship, it's a pity that I have just started. The distant mountains are still cloudless and windy. At first he was just testing, but now he knows that neither Yang Cixi nor Yang Cixi can become a martial artist. Now he had no scruples. He used his red palms and claws to grab 2 long swords in an instant. The next second, the 2 long swords were broken into several pieces. Give you another chance to hand over your skills. Gao Yuanshan threw the broken sword away and shouted. I don't know what technique you are talking about. Yang Cixi's face turned pale, and without her sword, she knew that she had no chance of winning, and the opponent's strength was far beyond her imagination. Very good. It seems that like your father, you also want to suffer. What did you do to my dad? Yang Xiqi suddenly felt anxious. However, Gao Yuenshin did not answer her, and the red claw marks scratched directly towards his face. Extremely fast. Sister, be careful. Li Mushui screamed and immediately pushed Yang Xiqi away. Puff. Li Mushui suddenly felt the burning pain on her face. Fortunately, the claw marks were not deep, and Gao Yuenshin did not kill Yang Xiqi. Mushui. Yang Xiqi shouted when she saw the scratches on Li Mushui's face. Gao Yuenshin didn't give her a chance to breathe, and the red claw directly grabbed Yang Xiqi's shoulder. Don't tell me. Gao Yuenshin exerted force, and his nails immediately dug into his flesh. I said, I don't know. The pain in her shoulder made Yang Xiqi sweat drop on her face. But he still shook his head firmly. Let me see what you can say. That's pretty much it. Others have told me that I don't know. Yi Mo had to sigh. Yang Xiqi turned out to be Yang Ming's daughter. Isn't it a coincidence? Yi Mo didn't delay it on purpose until now, but he just called Li Yuan and asked if Yang Ming was dead. Li Yuan said that he still had breath, but was about to sign and send him to the crematorium. Yi Mo told him to calm down first and wait for him to pass. You want to intervene? Gao Yuenshin turned to look at Yi Mo. I can't help it. I'm his fan and I've tipped her for several carnivals. It would be a big loss if you beat her to death. Yi Mo spread his hands and said, that's fine. I was going to find you originally. Since you want to die early, I will help you. Gao Yuenshin slapped Yang Xiqi on the abdomen, and Yang Xiqi immediately collapsed to the ground. Oh, this didn't surprise me. Let me think about it. It seems that President Wang is not convinced and wants to take revenge on me. Yi Mo glanced at Wang Hao. I really didn't expect that the other party could invite martial artist. HMPH, I know you are good at fighting, but now that Master is here, you will definitely die. Wang Hao snorted coldly. He knew that Gao Yuenshin was very powerful, but he didn't have much idea. Now that he saw Gao Yuenshin break the sword with his bare hands without getting hurt, his confidence was doubled. You may be disappointed. Yi Mo ignored Wang Hao and walked straight to Gao Yuan Mountain. Without saying a word, spiritual energy spread throughout his body. There was a light movement under my feet, and my body felt like a gust of wind. Then a palm shot came out. Boom. Seeing Yi Mo's actions, Gao Yuenshin's eyes suddenly shrank. It's not that he can't do moves like Yi Mo's, he just can't do them so gracefully. That's right, it's just elegant, and the body is like a piece of paper. He didn't dare to be careless, the anthurium seemed to be on fire. The two palms collided, and Gao Yuenshin was instantly knocked several meters away. This is impossible. Gao Yuenshin seemed to have slapped the truck with his palm. He could feel that Yi Mo's internal strength was not deep, but extremely tough. Yi Mo also frowned. He didn't expect that his palm didn't even break the opponent's arm, but only retreated a few meters away. It seems that martial artist is not useless. Who are you anyway? Gao Yuenshin recalled all the sects. Even among the 4 sects, he had never heard of such weird internal power. Unimportant. Yi Mo moved forward again, maximizing his speed. His hands kept patting Gao Yuenshin. After several palms, Gao Yuenshin finally couldn't stop it. Puff. 2 consecutive palms hit Gao Yuenshin's chest directly, and the internal organs in his body seemed to be struck like a hammer. Blood gushes out wildly. Gao Yuenshin was finally afraid, not to mention that he could not block Yi Mo's attack. He tried to fight back just now, but his proud shadowless hand didn't even touch the corner of the opponent's clothes. After many years of debut, this was the first time he encountered such a strange opponent. Brother, I surrender. Gao Yuenshin surrendered immediately. You think this is a boxing match? Yi Mo poured spiritual energy into his right foot, kicked Gao Yuenshin in the abdomen, and a domineering spiritual energy entered his body. The spiritual energy is like a sickle, cutting off the meridians of Gao Yuan Mountain. Killing someone on the spot is still not advisable. Yi Mo directly destroyed Gao Yuenshin's cultivation. Later, half of the secret book was found on him. Yi Mo glanced at it casually for a few times, then went into the space. After dealing with Gao Yuenshin, Yi Mo turned to look at Wang Hao. Wang Hao was immediately frightened and backed away. Yi Mo ignored him and looked back. Then he came to Yang Siqi. At this time, Yang Siqi was still slumped on the ground. Yimo had no choice but to pick her up and walk towards the gate of the martial arts gym. Perhaps the battle just now was so shocking that Brother Dao and his gang were still in a state of excitement and did not follow them. Yimo shouted to him speechlessly, "Brother Dao, go and drive quickly. This guy has too little eyesight. Come on, Zhao Wu, what the hell are you still doing? Go and drive." Brother Dao shouted at Zhao Wu. Zhao Wu expressed that he was aggrieved, but he did not dare to stay for a moment and rushed out immediately. "Brother Yi, where are you going?" "6th Hospital, hurry up." Yimo, Yang Siqi and Li Mushui were sitting in the back row. Yang Siqi was hit by Gao Yuanshan's last slap, causing all the muscles in his body to spasm and unable to move. After thinking about it, I still gave him some spiritual energy. "Are you a little miner from another world?" Yimo said that he had tipped her at several carnivals. Among her fans, except for one named Xiao Linlin, she is a small miner from another world. "Yes." Yimo nodded. "I didn't expect you were also a martial artist. Thank you for saving us." Yang Siqi knew that if he was caught by Gao Yuanshan, he would definitely not end well. "You're welcome, I promised your father to keep you safe," Yimo said. "My dad. Oh, by the way, how is my dad doing now?" Yang Siqi asked anxiously. It's still too late." Yimo thought to himself, it seems that this healing elixir must be given. "Forget it, just treat it as gift money. It's too late. What happened to my father?" From Gao Yuanshan's words, she knew that Gao Yuanshan must have also looked for her father. And maybe he was poisoned by him. "Don't worry, we'll talk about it when we get to the hospital." Longshan Martial Arts Gym is not very far from the 6th Hospital. Zhao Wu's driving skills were also good. After running through several red lights, he arrived at the 6th Hospital in about 20 minutes. And Yang Siqi's body recovered a lot after Yimo's 20 minutes of conditioning. Can move freely. Entering the hospital, Li Mushui went to treat the wound. Yimo took Yang Siqi to Yang Ming's ward. In the ward, many doctors were examining Yang Ming's body. Lin Shishuang stood behind the crowd. "Master Li, I think it's almost done. Any further treatment will be a waste of time and money." A middle-aged doctor looked at Li Yuan and said very firmly, "Can you wait a little longer?" Li Yuan didn't know why Yimo wanted to hang on to Yang Ming, but since Yimo gave the order, he would try his best to be satisfied. At this moment, he saw Yimo rushing in with a woman. When Yang Siqi was still at the door, she heard the doctor's words. She immediately rushed into the ward and came to Yang Ming's bed. Seeing that her father's face was bloodless and his eyes were tightly closed, Yang Siqi's tears immediately flowed down. Dad, what's wrong with you?" When Lin Shishuang saw Yimo coming, she greeted Yimo. However, Yimo signaled her to wait for a while. Then he also came to Yang Ming's hospital bed. Yimo opened his consciousness and found that Yang Ming also had a faint breath left, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he took out a pill, opened Yang Ming's mouth, and put the pill into his mouth. "What are you doing? People are dying. What are you doing? What did you give him to eat?" Several doctors looked at Yimo's actions and scolded him. "Don't be nervous. This is 10,000 years of ice soul. If you hold it in your mouth, your body will not decay for thousands of years. If you encounter any sudden changes, you may still be able to survive." As Yimo spoke, his consciousness was observing Yang Ming's body. His words immediately petrified everyone on the spot. Even Lin Shishuang covered her mouth. "Master Li, who is this person? Let me tell you, Yang Ming was dead just now. Don't tell me that he was killed by our medicine later." Several doctors looked at Yimo like a fool. "What 1,000 years of ice soul, your brain is flooded." Well, Li Yuan's head is full of black lines. First, he was left speechless by Yimo's words. Second, I felt choked by the doctor's words. Li Yuan was slightly embarrassed, but he quickly thought of something, so he turned around and took out a letter from a backpack behind him. This letter was written by Yang Ming and asked him to deliver it to Yang Siqi. In addition to Yang Ming's longing, worry, and deep reluctance for Yang Siqi, the letter finally told Yang Siqi to go to Tianhe apartment to find Yimo, give him the exercises and then stay by his side. The more Yang Siqi looked at it, the sadder she became, and she burst into tears. Sister Siqi, I am your brother Li Yuan. You don't have to be too sad. Death is like a lamp going out. Li Yuan patted Yang Siqi's back and kept comforting him. Li Yuan actually only found out yesterday that Yang Ming had a daughter, and she was so beautiful. Cry, cry, cry in your brother's arms. Alas, my poor sister, let your brother take care of you from now on. Yang Siqi was indeed overly sad, and her body couldn't stop twitching. She glanced at Li Yuan, but there was not a word about Li Yuan in the letter. So she jumped directly into Yi Mo's arms. Obviously, his father entrusted him to Yi Mo. Of course, if Yi Mo hadn't saved her, Yang Siqi would have resisted. But today she saw that Yi Mo was very strong, and she understood her father's good intentions. Well, the black lines on Li Yuan's face deepened again. He looked at Yang Siqi, who was holding Yi Mo tightly, and raised his head slightly. Why is this? Li Yuan discovered that since the day he met Yi Mo, all the beautiful girls fell into Yi Mo's arms. Even Chen Ying, who used to be obedient to him, is the same. These days, he has sent many messages to Chen Ying, but Chen Ying only replied, Mr. Li, don't send me messages in the future, I'm afraid Yi Mo will misunderstand. This is, Yang Ming has been declared dead. Everyone has reached a consensus on this point, and will prepare for cremation next. The doctors left the ward one after another. Lin Shishuang then walked towards Yi Mo. Last night, she asked her grandfather about internal power. Her grandfather said that some internal power can indeed help people eliminate fatigue, but it is a bit nonsense to make people younger. Even innate chi cannot do this. Unless you break through innate yourself, it is possible to delay aging, but there is a limit. When she saw Yi Mo again today, she naturally wanted to experience the difference in Yi Mo's internal power again. But as soon as she walked to the hospital bed, she suddenly found that Yang Ming's eyes widened. Ah, it's a fake corpse, Lin Shishuang shouted, and then immediately ran behind Yi Mo, holding onto Yi Mo's clothes with both hands, trembling. Fake corpse? What kind of corpse would you fake in broad daylight? Hearing Lin Shishuang's cry, everyone looked around immediately. Even the doctor who had already walked out of the ward returned to the ward out of curiosity. At this moment, Yang Ming made a loud sound and sat up from the hospital bed. Yang Ming's face was filled with confusion. He looked at the people around him and said doubtfully, it turns out that people really have souls after death. Yang Ming thought that his soul had left his body, so the next step should be to enter the underworld, right? It's just that I don't see black and white and impermanence. I don't know the way. Ah, everyone was stunned for 3 seconds, and a harsh scream suddenly came from the ward. The doctor ran out of the ward as hard as he could. Li Yuan kept praying. Uncle Yang didn't see it, Uncle Yang didn't see it. Yang Siqi stopped crying, left Yi Mo's arms, and looked at her father blankly. To be honest, she was a little scared, but Yang Ming was her father after all, so he shouted softly, Dad. Siqi, you're here too, that's all. I don't have any regrets if I can see you one last time. The main reason why Yang Ming asked Li Yuan to pass the letter to his daughter was because he didn't want Yang Siqi to see him after his death. I'm afraid that my daughter will be too sad. Old Yang, you are not dead, you are alive and well now. Yi Mo said with a smile. Not dead. Yang Ming was actually a little confused. If he died, his soul should be floating, and others should not be able to see him. After Yi Mo's reminder, Yang Ming found that there seemed to be energy in his body that was repairing his body. Yi Mo, what's going on? Yang Ming looked at Yi Mo with a shocked expression. He knew very well how serious his injuries were, and it was difficult for gods to heal them. Lao Yang, you owe me too much this time. I didn't even risk my life to save you. Yi Mo thought that if he was injured, the Holy Spirit pill would be able to save his life. Really, how did you do it? Yang Ming really couldn't imagine what Yi Mo did to save himself. It's a long story. A child has no mother. Oh, by the way, I will also help you deal with your enemies, and I also saved your daughter's life. Lao Yang, I don't know what you will use to repay me. Although Gaoyuan Mountain is not dead yet, it is completely ruined. What? Yang Ming looked at his daughter, and Yang Siqi nodded to him. Old Yang, what you said before, does it count? Yi Mo asked. What? Yang Ming asked confused. Forget it, I'll talk to you in detail when you're completely healed. Yimo saved Yang Ming only because of Yang Siqi. But now that Lin Xishuang was still hiding behind her, it was not inconvenient to directly ask for help. Several doctors were shocked at first. Later, I thought about what we were talking about in broad daylight, so I plucked up the courage to walk in. The doctor began to examine Yang Ming's body, and Yimo and others left the ward. Outside the ward, Lin Xishuang's eyes never left Yimo. Finally, she couldn't bear it anymore and asked, Yimo, what did you feed Yang Ming before? 10,000 years ice soul, I may have encountered some sudden change just now, so Yang Ming was resurrected. Yimo said lightly. What, why do I feel that there is no truth in your mouth? Lin Xishuang pouted. You really want to know? Yimo, yeah, Lin Xishuang nodded immediately. Well, it's okay to tell you. What I gave Yang Ming was an extremely noble Holy Spirit pill, which cost at least 5,000 spirit stones. It was made by a second-grade alchemist using more than a dozen kinds of 100-year-old spirit herbs. After taking this pill, no matter how many internal injuries you suffer, you can recover. Moreover, this pill also has the effect of cleansing the meridians. I guess it won't take long for Yang Ming to break through the earth level. Quote. Yimo smiled slightly. Never mind. Lin Xishuang gave up completely and changed the subject. Yimo, can you give me your inner strength again? Yesterday, Lin Xishuang specially asked her grandfather to lose his internal energy once. But compared to Yimo's internal strength, it was simply a world of difference. So she wanted to feel it again. However, Yimo hasn't responded yet, and Yang Siqi can't stand it anymore. Perhaps because Lin Xishuang was so good-looking and she sat too close to Yimo, Yang Siqi had a strong opinion of her. At first, Yang Siqi could bear it, but when she heard Lin Xishuang said that she wanted Yimo to give her internal energy, Yang Siqi said in her heart, shameless. Doctor, why do you have the nerve to say such things? Can you lose your internal energy to others? Aren't you delaying others' cultivation? Brother Yimo just fought with others in order to save me, and he has already consumed a lot of internal energy, and he had already lost once for me when he came here. Yang Siqi's tone was very aggressive and full of gunpowder. Ah, it has such a big impact. Lin Xishuang was not angry because of Yang Siqi's harsh words, but she looked at Yimo a little embarrassed. It's not that serious, but I did spend a lot of money today. I'll give you another chance next time. Yimo did consume a lot of spiritual energy today and needed to go back and practice for a night before he could recover. Brother Yimo, I know your internal energy is very pure, but you can't waste it casually. Why should she give it to her properly? Yang Siqi said, dissatisfied again. This woman is so shameless, she wants others to give her inner strength, and she doesn't feel ashamed. Sister, I don't mean anything else, I'm just curious about Yimo's inner strength. After being choked twice, Lin Xishuang also became a little angry. You can't let others lose their internal strength out of curiosity. You know, if you lose your internal strength once, it may take Brother Yimo several days to recover. You are still reasonable. I really don't understand much about this. I admit that I was wrong, but can you not be so rude when you speak? As the eldest lady, Lin Xishuang naturally has her own temper. She really couldn't stand Yang Siqi's strange aura. Should I challenge? I'm just telling the truth. Brother Yimo seems to be someone who doesn't know how to refuse. I'm afraid he will suffer a big loss in the end. Yang Siqi has been without a mother since she was a child, and Yang Ming is rarely around her. This also makes her Xiao Chong have a more fiery personality, and it is also to better protect herself. Am I that kind of person, sister? Although your father entrusted you to Yimo, Yimo did not agree. Besides, your father is not dead now. You'd better not bring him in directly. Yesterday, Yang Ming Tuogu and Lin Xishuang were present. As a woman, Lin Xishuang could feel why Yang Siqi had such a strong opinion of herself. What do I bring in? I am above board, unlike some people who only hide behind others and act cute. What did you say? Li Yuan stood in the corner with his calves crossed and his head buried in the wall. He was filled with emotion as he watched the two women fighting over each other here. Once upon a time, I also became the background wall. No, I want to leave. As long as I leave Yimo, no matter where I am, it will be my home court. Yes, leave now. Well, Mr. Li, wait a minute, I don't have any money, take me to have a meal. Yimo immediately stood up, ran to Li Yuan's side, put his arm around his shoulder, and walked away dejectedly. In the hospital parking lot, Brother Dao and several younger brothers were gathered around a Rolls-Royce, making comments. He seemed a little disdainful. After seeing Yimo, Brother Dao immediately put out the cigarette in his hand and ran over. Yimo asked him to call his younger brother to Sanhe Hotel for dinner. Then he took Brother Dao and got into the Rolls-Royce. The reason why Yimo brought Brother Dao with him was mainly because he wanted to ask him how Yang Lan was doing. In the back seat, Brother Dao sat very straight and said without squinting, Shen Yiming has agreed, but he has been unable to get through to Yang Lan. Shen Yiming sent many messages to Yang Lan, but Yang Lan didn't believe them at all, so she ignored them. Yimo ignored the matter and called Zhou Ruolin. Asked Zhou Ruolin how the conversation with Yang Lan went. Zhou Ruolin said that Yang Lan did not believe that she was an immortal cultivator and did not practice. Now she regarded Zhou Ruolin as a liar. First let her complete the divorce procedures with Shen Yiming, and then talk to her after you make a breakthrough. Yimo didn't force it, everything was her own choice. Even if they want a divorce, Yimo won't even ask a question. If Zhou Ruolin still doesn't believe it after she breaks through Qi training, Yimo will let her go. After hanging up the phone call from Zhou Ruolin, not long after, she arrived at Sanhe Hotel. Brother Dao opened a private box with a few horse boys. Yimo was in a separate box with Li Yuan. The first reason why I had dinner with Li Yuan was to resolve Wang Hao's matter. The second is the issue of firepower. Li Yuan vouched for Wang Hao's matter. If he was given a month, Yong'an Group would disappear. As for firepower, Li Yuan was in a bit of a dilemma. Being able to get AK is already his limit. But what Yimo meant was that he wanted stronger firepower, such as Gatling, and enough bullets. Can foreign countries obtain, in addition to powerful machine guns, armored vehicles, armed helicopters, those carrying machine guns, and even missiles? Yimo also used the armed helicopter just in case. Fanlong Mine is located deep in the mountains. There are countless monsters around. Generally speaking, it is difficult to cross such mountains without gold core cultivation. Of course, there are many powerful monsters in the sky, but if there are a large number of helicopters, it is possible to pass through these mountains. Brother Yi, even if you can buy it abroad, you can't bring it back. Li Yuan actually wanted to ask Yimo what he wanted to do, but he knew that asking would be in vain. There is no need to transport it back to the country. As long as you can buy it, I will go there then. Yimo said, Brother Yi, I can't guarantee it, but I can ask for you. These powerful firepower certainly cannot appear in the country. It was impossible to transport it back to China, so Li Yuan was not worried. In the afternoon, Yang Ming's injuries completely recovered, and he also found that even the previous hidden injuries had recovered. And what surprised him the most was that all the meridians in his body seemed to be opened up, and a breakthrough was imminent. So he strongly requested to be discharged. Staying in the hospital actually affected his cultivation. Of course, when he was discharged from the hospital, he also called Yimo and returned to Li's house together. No, one courtyard of Jujingting. In the room, Yang Ming said solemnly, Yimo, this is the technique I told you, the star body refining technique. I have taught this technique to many people, but none of them have succeeded. Yimo took half of the skill book and glanced at it casually, but was stunned the next second. Because this is a body cultivation method. At first he saw the lower part of Gaoyuan Mountain, and Yimo didn't see much of it. Now that he saw the first two floors, he suddenly felt unusual. Yimo didn't expect that Blue Star actually had such a skill. Where did you get this skill? Yimo asked immediately. In a cave in Sanming Mountain, I guess it is the cave mansion of a certain martial artist in ancient times. Yang Ming replied. Besides this technique, is there anything else? Yimo then asked. No, I looked very carefully and found this technique in a hidden grid. Yang Ming shook his head. Yimo fell into deep thought. The system said that there are no immortal cultivators in Blue Star. This is certainly true, but physical cultivation techniques also require the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to practice. If there are no immortal cultivators, where does this skill come from? If you have a chance, take me there again. Okay, I will keep the technique for now. This technique is indeed not simple. It is beyond the scope of a martial artist. Lao Yang, the reason why you can't practice it is actually because you have no spiritual roots. Physical cultivation techniques also require spiritual roots. Spiritual roots are the most fundamental existence for absorbing spiritual energy. They also require spiritual energy, body training and immortality cultivation, but they take different paths. Body training focuses on the body, while cultivating immortality is more focused on primordial spirit. Spiritual root. What is it? Yang Ming looked confused. A thing that can make people become immortals. Yi Mo started making up stories again. Finally, he concluded, I come from a family of cultivators. The reason why I saved you is because of Yang Siqi. I need her to help me spread my branches. Lao Yang, do you understand what I mean? After saying that, a small blazing fireball appeared in Yi Mo's hand. When does it start? Can it be done tonight? Dad, I just met brother Yi Mo today. At first, Yang Siqi seemed to be listening to a book from heaven, but in the end she finally grasped the key points. It seems that she wants to give birth to a child for Yi Mo. Dad, it's true, this is the first time I've met him. Yi Mo didn't expect Yang Ming to agree so readily, and Yang Siqi didn't seem to resist. It seems that there is one more family member. Yang Ming is also a thief. He knows that there are many women around Yi Mo, and there may be more and more women in the future. If he is one step behind others, wouldn't he become a small one? What's wrong with the first time we met? The first time I met your mother, I proposed the same day and entered the bridal chamber that night. Yang Ming kept winking at his daughter. Although he remains skeptical about cultivating immortals. But even if Yi Mo is lying to him, he is not an ordinary person. He is sure to make a profit without losing any money. Yi Mo, let me see you still live in some shabby apartment. In this way, I still have a villa in Binjiang Mansion. Let's go there now. Yang Ming couldn't help but pull Yi Mo and his daughter and drive to Binjiang Mansion. Arrive at villa number 20 in Binjiang Mansion. After leaving Yi Mo and Yang Siqi, Yang Ming walked away. Before leaving, he left a message. It's been a long time since we stayed here. You two, please remember to clean up. Yang Siqi looked at her father who was leaving, standing at the gate, a little messy. Yi Mo waved his hand at the back of the car. Haha, Lao Yang is also a talent, ah. Yi Mo laughed happily, but before he finished speaking, he suddenly felt a murderous aura coming over him. He touched his nose awkwardly, turned around and walked into the door. But soon he leaned out half of his body again. Cici, come quickly. What's wrong? Yang Siqi walked towards the door curiously. In the hall, because no one has lived in it for a long time, it is not messy, but there is a lot of dust. I'll do a little magic for you. Yi Mo took out a dust clearing charm from the system space. Enter the spiritual energy into the talisman, and then throw it into the air. In an instant, all the dust in the hall was sucked in by the talisman as if it were blowing in the wind. Yi Mo used the dust cleaning talisman to clean up the entire villa, and the villa suddenly became completely new. Yang Siqi was already shocked and speechless. When she was at Li's house before, Yang Siqi was shocked to the point of being stunned by Yi Mo's firebomb technique. Now that she saw the magic talisman, she had to reconsider the authenticity of Yi Mo's words about cultivating immortals. That's almost it. Let's go buy some daily necessities. Yi Mo put the magic talisman into the space, then took Yang Siqi's little hand and walked out of the villa. Yang Siqi didn't seem to react and let Yi Mo hold his hand. As soon as the two people reached the gate of the community, they saw a black Volkswagen driving in from the gate. When the crowd passed Yi Mo, they deliberately stopped for a moment and then quickly walked away. Siqi, have you bought a car? Yi Mo looked at Volkswagen and asked. Not yet. Yang Siqi shook his head. Well, when I have time, I will take you to buy a car. Then I want to buy Mimi. Okay. There are many supermarkets and shopping malls near Binjiang Mansion. The two simply bought some daily necessities and some meat and vegetables, and then returned to the villa. What Yi Mo didn't know was, the Volkswagen he encountered before was actually parked in the basement of villa number 19 next door to him. A short-haired man got out of the car. Immediately after the passenger in the back seat, a man and a woman got out respectively. The woman has short black hair, wearing black short-sleeved upper body and blue jeans. Men also have short hair. They came from the basement to the negative floor. The entire negative floor is about 200 square meters, with sports areas, leisure areas, and office areas planned inside. At this time, a woman in the office area was sitting at the computer. It was the woman who watched Yang Siki's live broadcast this morning. Xiaoyan, have you found Yimo's information? The short-haired woman walked into the office area and asked immediately. Sister Liao Qing, we have found them all, and by coincidence, Yang Ming just sent Yimo and Yang Siqi to Villa No. 20. It seems that he wants them to stay here for a long time. When Chen Xiaoyan saw Yang Ming, she was really shocked. Yang Ming was severely injured yesterday by Gao Yuanshan, but he didn't expect that he would be fine today. When I came back just now, I happened to meet them. Let me see Yimo's information first. Liao Qing walked to the computer. Shen Xiaoyan clicked on the top secret file on the computer. Two short-haired men also came over. The two men looked somewhat similar, but they were brothers, named Enzuo and Yu. They are all from the 9th Bureau of the National Security Bureau. Liao Qing is their captain. At this time, Yimo's information was investigated, ranging from the brand of milk powder he ate as a baby to his defeat of Gao Yuanshan this morning. At first I thought he was a disciple of a certain sect, but when I investigated his identity, I found that this person seemed to appear out of thin air. Shen Xiaoyan watched Yang Siki's live broadcast today, which was just for fun. Unexpectedly, Yimo came out of nowhere and seriously injured Gao Yuanshan. Gao Yuanshan is a registered prefecture-level martial artist. And Yimo is only in his 20s. In other words, he is most likely a prefecture-level martial artist in his 20s. This was not bad, so Shen Xiaoyan immediately reported to the superiors for investigation. The results of the investigation were beyond everyone's expectations. Because all the information showed that it was not known when Yimo practiced martial arts. How come these 2 periods of time are completely blank? Liao Qing frowned slightly. From August 1, 2023 to June 1, 2024, and from June 11, 2024 to October 1, 2024. For more than a year, there was no information about Yimo. This is rare. Now that information is transparent, very few people leave no trace at all. Except for those who have been hiding in the mountains and practicing hard. I don't know. I couldn't find any information during these 2 days. Shen Xiaoyan shook her head. In other words, these 2 periods are the most suspicious. It was after Yimo disappeared for the first time and returned that he showed unusual behavior. The most obvious thing was on June 2, when he injured several security guards. Liao Qing was thoughtful. Yes, this is something we have never been able to figure out. Before Yimo turned 25, we repeatedly investigated him and found that his performance was extremely mediocre whether in elementary school or university. He was even bullied in elementary school. It stands to reason that during this period, he had absolutely no contact with martial artists. Shen Xiaoyan said solemnly, how could a person who has never been exposed to a martial artist from childhood to adulthood suddenly become a martial artist? It can't be the 10 months that disappeared, right? What can you do in 10 months? I'm afraid I didn't even feel angry. There must be some oversight. Otherwise, it would be impossible to reach the prefecture level in 10 months. Enzuo shook his head. This possibility was almost impossible. What did the bureau say? Liao Qing didn't hesitate. No matter when Yimo started practicing martial arts, since he has been discovered, sooner or later he will be found out. She checked the information carefully and soon found several more suspicious points. Yimo sold a lot of gold for a while. The gold comes from nowhere. And Yimo likes to reward female anchors. But I haven't given rewards recently. This behavior is very much like that of an upstart. It should be because I was afraid of poverty before, but now I consume in revenge. The Bureau's intention is to observe first and then contact. If there are no problems with the background, then try to recruit. Shen Xiaoyan replied, well, that's what I mean. He actually lives next door to us. It's relatively easy to observe. Liao Qing nodded. Well, Sister Liao Qing, did your mission go well today? Shen Xiaoyan suddenly changed the subject. He ran away. Zhang Haoyu's strength is not far from heaven grade, and he is also good at light kung fu. I and the first and second teams rounded up him at the same time, but we couldn't catch up with him. Liao Qing looked solemn. Ah, he won't really break through heaven grade, right? Doesn't that mean our entire Yangcheng branch is no match for him? Yangcheng is only a second-tier city, and there are not many martial artists stationed there. There are 3 teams in total, with a total of less than 20 people. And the ones with the highest strength are only at the prefecture level. Don't worry, Zhang Haoyu has really broken through the sky. When the time comes, people from Zonghai will come, and we will be at ease. And Zuo on the side said calmly. That's right. If they really break through heaven grade, it won't be their problem. In the evening, Yimo and Yang Siqi cooked a sumptuous dinner. The two of them ate until 8 o'clock, and each drank a bottle of Lao Gan Daddy. Yang Siqi was a little drunk. Yimo didn't feel anything at all. At the door of the bedroom, Yang Siqi hesitated. Her face was flushed, and a large piece of the deer had been killed. Do you really want to have a wedding tonight? Isn't this a premature birth? That's okay. Omit 50,000 words. 40 minutes later. Because this was Yang Siqi's first time, she simply couldn't bear it. Yimo had no choice but to give up. Yang Siqi soon fell asleep, while Yimo was practicing in the room next to him. He felt that he could push his spiritual power to 15 tonight. Before traveling back to the Water Moon realm, if nothing unexpected happens, I should be able to break through to the middle stage of Qi training. Once she reaches the middle stage of Qi training, she will wait until Zhou Ruolin gives birth. Yimo's cultivation will reach the perfection of Qi training. It also rewards 2 years of longevity. If used to practice fire bomb technique, it should be able to reach the great accomplishment state. Even though you only have 2 years of life, you are practicing 24 hours a day. The effect may be worth 10 years of practice for others. With the perfect Qi training and the fire bomb technique of the great accomplishment realm, this power is not something that ordinary Qi training can resist. At that time, Yimo will have the real power to protect himself. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, Yimo finally felt the bottleneck, so he immediately took the Qi gathering pill to practice. September 25th. In the morning, after Yang Siqi got up, she wanted to see if Yimo was awake, but she saw a note posted on the door. He is practicing, please don't disturb him for the time being. Yimo will spend a lot of time on the Qi gathering pill, and he doesn't want to waste it. It was not until evening that one Qi gathering pill was finally completely consumed. At this time, he was only a hair away from the middle stage of Qi training. The effect is better than I imagined. We should be able to break through tonight. Yimo had never used pills to practice before, so the effect was somewhat beyond his expectation. However, he did not continue to practice, but turned on his mobile phone. In order to prevent anyone from disturbing my practice, Yimo turned off his phone. Of course, last night he also sent messages to Liu Baijin and Zhou Ruolin in advance, saying that he was in retreat. But when I turned on my phone, messages kept coming, almost all from Lin Xishuang. Because of Yang Ming's sudden recovery, the entire 6th Academy is now looking for Yimo. And Yang Ming is also a dog. In order for his daughter and Yimo to have a smooth wedding, he did not mention where Yimo went. Yimo did not reply to Lin Xishuang immediately, but got up and left the room, preparing to eat something. He was a little hungry after not eating for a day. Siqi, Siqi, Yimo shouted twice. At this time, Yang Siqi was practicing swordplay in the small courtyard. Hearing Yimo's voice, he immediately replied, in the courtyard, have you finished your practice? Well, have you cooked? No, I don't know when you will be ready, so I haven't done it yet. How about going out to eat? No, there are still some dishes at home. Do you want to eat food or noodles? Let's eat noodles, keep it simple. Okay, then I'll feed it to you. Well, when it's done, you can call me again. Yang Siqi put away her sword and went to the kitchen. At this time, number 19 next door, Liao Qing and Shen Xiaoyan, were standing on the balcony on the 2nd floor. Seeing Yang Siqi entering the room, she couldn't help but complain, these two people must be sick. Can't they just walk a few steps before talking? You insist on shouting like this. It's okay, it's better than those who communicate face to face with authority. Liao Qingdao didn't think it was anything, but felt quite warm. Ah, there is such a thing, Captain, you don't communicate face to face with your boyfriend on WeChat, do you? Shen Xiaoyan asked curiously. No, I don't have a boyfriend at all. Liao Qing shook his head. No way, Captain Sun hasn't caught up with you yet. Shen Xiaoyan blinked. He can't do it, he acts like a fool. Liao Qing said lightly. What about Team Yang? Team Yang is full of hormones. His brain is somewhat atrophic. Yimo took his cell phone to check the message from Lin Xishuang. The main purpose was to ask where Yimo was now. Doctors from the 6th hospital, including the dean, were looking for him and wanted to know what Yimo had given Yang Ming. Yimo edited the information and walked to the balcony. Tell them, I picked up that pill, there is only one, it's called the Immortality Returning Yang pill. After editing the message and pressing send, Yimo looked up. He found 2 women opposite him looking at him. Yimo didn't pay attention at first and looked down at his phone, but soon he raised his head again because he found that these 2 women were pretty good looking. So the character search started. Character: Liao Qing. Cultivation: None. Spiritual root: Wonglingen. Character: Shen Xiaoyan. Cultivation: None. Spiritual root: Green spiritual root. Yimo's eyebrows suddenly moved, and he didn't expect to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Because Yimo kept staring at them, Liao Qing and Shen Xiaoyan thought Yimo had discovered something, so they immediately looked away. Yimo didn't risk losing communication. At this time, Lin Xishuang also responded to the message. Lin Xishuang, what have you been doing all day? Your cell phone has been turned off all day. I told them, but they didn't believe me. They said they must see you and ask questions in person. Yimo, I'm practicing, so I turned off my phone. How can I have time to talk to them about this? Lin Xishuang, just meet once, it won't take long, otherwise they will keep pestering me, especially the dean, my 3rd grandfather. He said he won't let me get off work until I see you. Yimo, okay, then I'll go there tonight. Lin Xishuang, carrot oh carrot. After chatting with Lin Xishuang, Yimo found that Liao Qing and Shen Xiaoyan had left. Not long after, Yang Xiqi called him to eat. After eating, Yimo gave Yang Xiqi some immortal skills and spiritual stones. Yimo only had 200 spirit stones left in addition to the spirit stones he had to hand over. After thinking for a while, he finally gave all 200 spirit stones to Yang Xiqi. Brother Yimo, if I change my cultivation, will all the internal energy I cultivated in the past be wasted? Yang Xiqi was a little reluctant to give up. After all, he had practiced for more than 10 years before becoming a martial artist. It's not wrong to listen to me. Besides, I can't harm you. These 200 spirit stones are enough for you to break through. When the time comes, you will know that your inner strength is nothing. Yang Xiqi didn't want to practice, but he didn't know that Yimo was under great pressure at this time. The nearly 2,000 spirit stones that were stolen have now been used up. After going back, I still have to grab it. Okay, I'll listen to you. Finally, Yang Xiqi decided to give it a try. After eating, Yimo took a taxi to the 6th hospital. Yimo certainly didn't come to the hospital to explain anything, but mainly for Lin Xishuang. Now Yang Xiqi is done. Lin Xishuang naturally became his primary target. At about 8 o'clock in the evening, Lin Xishuang was standing at the gate of the hospital's outpatient clinic wearing a white coat. Although the style of the coat is not very good, it does not affect Lin Xishuang's appearance at all. Many patients or family members looked at her from time to time. Some of the more daring ones used the pretext of asking for directions to get close to them. Lin Xishuang was patient and answered them one by one. Doctor, where are you holding a consultation? Can I call your number? You have a prostate problem. I'm here to see a gynecologist. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.